Music Matters. Yungatita.
Hey, what's up?
How you guys doing? Thanks for doing this.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, for having us.
Yeah, of course. Crazy morning this morning, but
Jeez.
we made it here.
We did it. We made it.
Yeah, happy we finally got this one in. The day that we were supposed to it originally was like I think it was the first day where everything went down, right?
My God.
Yeah, the fires,
right.
yeah.
Everything burned.
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah.
I hit you up that morning and I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know how it is where you're at, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, y'all good over here?
Yeah.
You were like, you didn't have to evacuate, right?
No, there was one tiny period where we were on mandatory, but for the vast majority of it, we were on a warning. We were on a warning like the whole time.
Yeah.
Which was low-key so annoying because it was like, do we go? Do we stay?
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm from the Bay.
Okay.
But there was, right when the Hearst fire one broke out, we were all kind of here night of, and I remember I was literally down the street watching the Bob Dylan movie, and I'm getting all these alerts on my phone, and I'm like, I don't know. And I was with my homie who's like from the valley, and he's like, dude, like you're fine, like we get fires every fucking year, like you're gonna be okay.
It's the most catastrophic fire to ever happen in LA history.
Yeah, literally. He was like, you know, it happens every year, and he always goes by, and I was like, all right, bro, like whatever you say, like you're from here, I trust you. And then like literally that happens, and then we get out of the movie, and it was probably like 11 o'clock at this point, and I start driving home, and I just keep getting these emergency alerts on my phone. I'm like, I don't think everything's okay.
No, this is definitely different than I mean,
what was you're cool with like cussing, right?
Yeah,
like,
okay.
What was like fucked up was like that one like Amber Alert that went out to the entire county.
Dude, how do you mess that up?
Yeah, and like when I got it, I was
Fired,
like, because my parents, and I was at my parents' house in East LA, and it's like you wouldn't even be able to tell that there was like fires going on. Like it was so like chill over there. But so when I got it, I was like, there's no way. Like, So I was like, I was cool about it, but like everybody else was like
just freaking out.
Yeah, and I get it, especially like I know you got it. And I was like, you live closer to where like at least
there's
like
vegetation.
I'm like towards the Altadena.
Yeah, and you're like in the he's in like the San Gabriel Valley where like, the mountains were on fire around there.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's fucked up for them, for people who actually are in like kind of harm's way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how, like, you know, this isn't like a shit happens thing. It's like, no, somebody fucked up.
Well, I feel like even
really
people,
bad.
even people in Altadena that got their houses burned down and stuff, they were saying that they didn't get an alert.
Oh, that's crazy.
Up until police were like rolling by with like honking, like, or I don't know, they had like the little woo woo thing.
Yeah.
And that's why people weren't even able to evacuate like appropriately.
Yeah, it's almost like damn, bro, like I don't think there's any way to I guess there is a way, but it's like we did not have the infrastructure to deal with a problem like this at large.
No.
It was just like, it's the kind of thing where it's like, how can you possibly like prepare for like all these people rushing out of the same place at the same time? I think that was the scariest bit for me, because there was like the Hearst fire and whatever, that'll happen, and I was like back and forth from here to my friend's house in Burbank because they were like further in, and there was like, it's pretty much like I had got back and I was talking to my mom, and she was like, you know, like you could just like drive back to the Bay and just wait it out. And I was like, it was kind of annoying because I had just gotten back from being up there for the holidays.
Oh, true, yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I want to like drive all the way back up. I just did that, and then I go back from Burbank. I come back here. And then that was the same night the Hollywood one broke out. Oh yeah. And I was just I was scrolling on TikTok, and I saw this TikTok live of like just like this lady from her apartment building looking down,
and the fire's there.
Not only the fire's there, but everybody just is trying to get out of the car, and they just can't move. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, all right, like fuck this, and then I drove back to the Bay.
Oh,
really?
Damn. Okay, yeah. A lot of friends I know like left LA. I even friends that are like from here, they like went to Vegas and stuff. Yeah. And
because like it's one thing like, because that first night it was almost like zombie apocalypse kind of vibe, where it's like because like they kept popping up in random places, you know, like I guess like what the embers were like landing in certain places.
Well, yeah, because it was all like it was so like
windy.
So it was like oh, now there's a fire in Hollywood, like there's a fire in Burbank.
Wasn't that one like an arsonist thing too or something? There was like
they were saying that like people were burning stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean,
there was what I was reading, because I was reading up on that. Apparently, like the big one they thought was arson was the Kenneth fire, but then they caught a suspect. And then they found out the suspect. They just let him go within like a couple of hours. So I guess he had nothing to do with it. Yeah, weird. But apparently he was on parole. So unfortunately, I guess he's in jail.
No,
now.
Damn, free him,
It's fucked
bro.
up.
what the fuck?
But yeah, it was just like, you know, so you see like throughout the whole day into the night, it was just that. It was like a new fire has popped up, and it was like, so there's that, like that's scary. Yeah. But then it's like you think of the aftermath, and you're like, it's just gonna be bad air quality.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not just get out of town for a while? You know?
Yeah, that's like that's what blew my mind about the one yesterday. Mm-hmm. Like the new big ass one that just popped up. I was like, as I was thinking about it, I was like, all right, like for the past, like, you know, it's been like a lot chiller for the past like 5-6 days or whatever. But like if you're on the app or whatever, there's still these fires. They're popping up every hour. Yeah. Like, but they're just, you know, I think there's so many people, like so many firefighters here now, and they're so ready for it that they're just like jumping on them before they get big. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, like if there are legitimately like 30 fires a day, whether they're like 2-acre vegetation fires or not, odds are one of them is just going to get out of control. Like it's just like eventually it'll happen. It's like the law of large numbers, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then plus with the wind, like, because like, I mean, you know, not to get into that whole conversation either, but like just climate change. Yeah. It's like, it's just like I've never seen weather like this in LA, like just all the way around, like summers usually we have like a pretty brutal like maybe like a month where it's just like brutal. It's not as bad as it gets in other places, but like, you know, like it's the worst it gets here in LA. And then the winters are like pretty doable, you know. It's like you can wear like a light sweater and like that's about as bad as it gets. But now, and like I know like probably sound like a punk compared to like people from actual cold places, but it gets fucking cold here now. Does, like it isn't like the low 40s, which never used to happen. And like the whole thing about like LA perfect weather all year round, whatever, it's just not a thing anymore. And it's just like the winters have been like more like summers are still like bad, but the winters are like especially bad. And then the winds this year were just the worst that I can recall.
And how goddamn dry it was, bro. There was just no rain.
And it still hasn't been since.
It's supposed to rain on Tuesday, I think I saw, which is like feels like a miracle. Like I hope it fucking pours, dude.
Yeah, seriously, I fucking will see
a light drizzle.
And people still won't know how to drive. It's gonna be 2 sprinkles, and you're like,
oh fuck,
what a crazy start to the year.
Clothes. It's
like
it was still January.
It's still fucking January, right?
Yeah, dude. What the hell? It was so strange because I moved here 2 years ago now, and it was October of 2 years ago in 2022, and so it was like, you know, right when the winter was starting. That fucking winter just poured the whole winter.
I remember all that.
It's so like now my only like real memory of like real rain in LA is like that winter. And like since then, I swear we just haven't had like continuous rainfall like at all.
I will say, I feel like rain is not really like I mean, it's been definitely like we definitely need rain, you know what I mean?
For sure.
But I feel like even growing up and stuff, I don't remember ever it raining like too much.
Like a ton?
Yeah. I mean, it would. Like there's the season for it.
There's the meme of like LA people when it rains, they're like, we needed this, you know?
Because it's always because it hardly happens.
It definitely doesn't.
It's not as like common, I guess, in other places.
That is the whole. It plays into the whole LA perfect weather thing because it's like it rained when it needed to. You know?
And then it's never that crazy of a rain. You know, it's always like pretty, like generally chill.
It's about as much.
But
as
I do remember that the last time it did rain, or maybe like a couple times before or whatever, it rained like, remember we were getting like flood warnings?
Wow.
Remember, I think even like in like San Diego, like it got like super flooded last year or something like that.
Oh, you
remember?
By my house, it like flooded up.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, remember Doug's house flooded?
Oh yeah, and then my boyfriend's house like flooded. And
I remember like
I
just remember like it was
climate change.
Like, but I remember like every day or every time I talk to you, I always be like, we're having to move stuff out of Doug's room because like it's getting flooded.
All bad.
And I remember he just like posted on Instagram like a selfie. He's like, this rain is ruining my life. And I was like, bro, that's so funny. But like, it's just like it feels like it's only happening to him, or it's like the one rain cloud just on.
But there's one rain cloud. It was legit like all filling up his room, you know?
What?
Yeah, so we had to. He lives in Highland Park, which is also crazy because it was also pretty near the Eaton fires.
Yeah.
And so we took one step outside, and it's like sky is all red, like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's red as hell, and like you see like the birds, and you're like, wow, the world's literally gonna end right now.
That's what it felt like. Yeah, it was really scary. I'm curious, because obviously your guys' experience with this is definitely vastly different than mine, because I'm an LA transplant. Like, I'm not from here. Yeah. But being from here, is that like how? Obviously it's heartbreaking, and I'm sure a million people who have like lost their homes and all kinds of stuff. But like, just watching the general reaction to it, and like the media, and like within your communities and stuff, has that been like encouraging to see a lot of support, or have you kind of seen like how's that made you feel?
Honestly, it makes me feel not. I mean, it doesn't make me feel good. Obviously, I know, dude, man. So obviously, like I feel for everybody. I know a lot of people that got like their houses burned down. I will say though, in the sense of like the community coming together. I mean, we were volunteering. I was volunteering as much as I can, and like it's crazy to see that the people who are really handling stuff and like providing for the community were like people that had nothing to do with the government. It was literally just like grassroots, just regular people. Like regular people we know, DIY spaces that were opening up to like take on like donations or masks and whatnot.
Yeah, just like people like I have a truck, I have a van, like
like
I have a
where do I
vehicle,
go?
Like, I could transport stuff, like at the very least, like let me do that.
Like
store what you can with me.
Shout out like Non Plus Ultra. I know they were like doing a lot of stuff and are still, or actually I don't know if they still are, but for a minute they were, and Bike Oven, and like people were just on in Pasadena city job center, community job center. And like it was just crazy to see.
Like the people with like horse stables being like,
like,
you have a horse? Like,
you got a horse?
I'll take care of your horse.
So obviously it's still heartbreaking. Like there's still a fight, because I don't think the city's putting any like the city's not really doing anything about stopping like the rent freeze or like initiating a rent freeze or a mortgage freeze for people that did lose their homes. And then I know like landlords and shit are like price gouging.
I did recently see, like this was a couple of days ago, I saw that Gavin Newsom signed something about price gouging, where apparently apparently you can't raise stuff more than 50% now, which is like awesome.
Well, I think it's terrible. It's illegal to do anything over 10%. From what I know, LA Tenants Union, they put that all out there. So I just hope that the city does something to I guess like help the people that had their whole livelihood just that's it, it's gone. It's just insane to think about that. I can't even imagine,
dude.
I can't imagine.
It is, I don't know, like I totally feel you. I will say I think it's strange how you just see people come together in the face of adversity like this, though. I feel like it kind of brings the best out of people very often. And I think it's really easy, because I don't know, I think about this very often. Like we, as like not only people in music, but like just like people who grew up in this era of time, we kind of have grown up in like a localized community that we're kind of blind to because we have access to a global community through our phones and through the internet. So, therefore we're less in tune with what's around us. And I think like our parents, for example, very differently, they were kind of like growing up in localized communities that lacked access to a global community. So it's interesting. I think a lot of times people our age, and myself included in this for sure, we forget the strength of like small localized community, things like mutual aid, things just like you were saying, as simple as like, I have a truck, I have a horse stable, I can do this, I can do that. So I don't know. It's I almost question, like I wonder, our parents might think that's the kind of thing that's just like, common sense. Like you do that when tragedy happens. But I think we overlook it a lot of times.
I mean, you saw people of all different age groups and all that, like helping out. But I feel like, and I'm not trying to like point fingers or anything, but it's like, I feel like a lot of like older generations and our parents, I'm not saying like our parents specifically, but just the older people,
generation,
like, they see something like this happen and they're like, oh, like the government will take care of them. It's like, it's like
when in history has that happened in this country?
But it's like they figure like, oh, like that's fine, they got insurance, and then you find out insurance companies are pulling out, and it's just like, I mean, it's more fucked now than ever. But like where it's like, I mean, like there was maybe more of a sense of not so much like global access.
Yeah.
And there was more maybe like tight knit communities back in the day. Like you had like, I don't know, like just like you knew people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And like would help that way. But I feel like now you got people from all different corners of the city coming to help like one very specific part of the city, and like
or
I feel like
2 at least.
Yeah,
because
and it's like I feel like you kind of maybe would only see that now with like like the internet and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like
that's true.
Like something like
I
that.
think it's just easier to organize in that way.
Yeah, and it could tear us apart. Like being so glued to like the internet all the time.
Yeah,
but look how quickly it brought everybody together.
Yeah, people were on it immediately. And from what I remember reading, I think even the government, like, well, the LA, I don't know if it was like the council or mayor or whatever, like whatever her team is or whatever, like they had to ask mutual aid groups for masks.
Oh,
that's how crazy it is. Yeah,
that's insane.
From what I know,
that's very pathetic.
Which I believe it. I believe something like that could happen.
That's crazy to me. It's also like, dude, I think it's interesting because like there's pros and cons to this happening in a city like LA. On one hand, LA is incredibly spread apart, so like I think it's probably more likely for like some of these viruses to spread into other neighborhoods. Like, but I was like, dude, the area that was burnt is like 5 Manhattans. Like,
because everything, it's like way more,
much. It's so much area.
Yeah,
it was like so much square footage. I don't know. It's just terrifying to think about.
It's mostly like all like grassy.
Yeah, in the mountains.
Like,
Like
this is funny about like.
Well, the thing is, okay, let me go off for a second here. My boyfriend, my boyfriend went through a whole like. Was it like botany or something? I don't know. Through a whole, he was getting books from the library and like reading about the California chaparral, and like essentially like the reason kind of why fires like this happen is because like the chaparral actually is like supposed to burn.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna sound so ignorant. What's the chaparral?
Okay, so basically that's kind of like the plant ecosystem that exists in Southern California. So it's not necessary. The best way I could put it, maybe I'm wrong. Don't come for me if I'm totally wrong. But the way I could put it easily is like if you imagine like kind of deserty plants mixed with like foresty plants.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like an in-between.
Makes sense, yeah.
And so they're supposed to burn. So they're supposed to have controlled burning. And when you don't do that, then it obviously like grows. It excessively grows, and so then when it finally does burn, it gets just really crazy.
Like huge.
Yeah, and like these plants are meant to burn, like because they have like a root system that if the plant completely burns off on the top of the soil, inside it's still like the root system is still going. Like it's and then the ashes and all that are from the burn fall down and they actually like fertilize the soil, and then those plants are able to regrow again in the next season. Yeah. So it's meant to do that. But then we also have a lot of invasive species, and all of those invasive species are not meant to burn. Yeah. But when it's so dry and they take over even like the native plants, then it's like just like a recipe for disaster. Yeah. They just burn so crazy. It's like so hard to put it out.
That's that whole eucalyptus tree thing.
Yeah, eucalyptus tree, the yellow mustard, or was it black mustard? I think it's what it's called. The little yellow plants. Like you see them everywhere. Yeah. And that's all like invasive species. So they even snub out like California white sage. Yeah. And like other, there's this plant that's like related to it's like a blueberry, whatever, but I don't know what it's called. But like those types of plants, it like snubs them. And for what I know, if I'm saying wrong things, my bad. But but from what I remember, I know that these kinds of things are necessary, and so controlled burning is something that it should have been done. Yeah. But yeah, then also you have that mixing with the fact that their cities are moving like into the mountains, like into the chaparral. Then it's just kind of like, and then we're building with stuff that is like highly flammable. Yeah. It's just like, okay, like
there's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. It's just so funny because like most of like the country really, but like California, is nothingness. Like it's
to
it's
the
just,
vast
it's just,
majority. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like hills and grass and mountains and like. Like it's funny whenever we go on tour.
That's something.
And like
don't talk about plants that way.
Yes, but I mean like there's no city. But like when we're on tour and like
driving down the 5
or like just like in any part of the country, and we're like, man, we've been like in just like nothing for hours, and we're about to pull into like Minneapolis or like Chicago, a major city. I'm like, you mean to tell me that like in the next 30 minutes we're gonna get to
something
like a huge like concrete jungle, and then sure enough you do, and it's just like damn, like most of the country is just all grass and like undeveloped land. And like it's supposed to be that way. Like it really like is supposed to be that. And so but like people are like, oh, like there's nothing out here. We should start building houses here.
It's like maybe
how
don't.
we don't?
Yeah, how about we don't?
Yeah.
Or at least make it like do it with the earth, I guess.
Yeah.
But now we're derailing like that's going to turn into. You don't want to get me into this conversation.
No, it's just like, like leave
I'll
it
go
alone.
on
like,
for years.
It's like there's enough of city. I mean, they're maybe not so much anymore, but like like you mean to tell me that like of all the houses and like certain parts of like these like the hills, like like living in any hillside area, it's like it's very like sought after. It's like you mean to tell me that like there's no house for you there? You got to go build another one.
It's like, and it's also, dude, like I think about this a lot. Like the town that I came from, there's one guy who owns like almost all of the real estate, like the vast majority. Shit. And like it's mind-boggling. And it's not like it's like a super tiny town. It's like 15,000 people or whatever. It's like literally one guy, and he owns like 80 or 90% of all the real estate.
That's freaking disgusting.
Which is just like nuts.
Whoever you are,
about.
You suck.
His name is Sino. He's he really sucks.
Sino.
He's also like expanding into like Mount Diablo State Park and like murdering like exclusive species of plants. Like
he's also like running for governor or some shit.
Yeah, dude. So did Rick Caruso. I mean, like, it adds up. It is crazy, dude. Like, I almost don't feel like we're meant to be on top of each other in this way.
No,
but it's also weird because like, what's the alternative? We build into like places that like you were saying, like are they probably have very specific kinds of plants and animals that have been there for thousands of years. It's like these places that have never been developed. So like, do we develop into them or do we continue living on top of each other? And it's almost like, dude, that's why it feels so doom and gloom sometimes, I think, because it's like some of these problems, like the solutions conflict each other. Like to think about like the wildfire problem versus something like COVID, right? Like with COVID, it's really bad that we live on top of each other, but for wildfires, like maybe it's a little better, I guess, because like if we're expanding into all these other places, like then things just burn more and like humans cause fires and that just happens. So I don't know, it's all like difficult.
I mean, the answer is actually quite simple, but I know I'll get into it. We'll be talking all night, but or all day or whatever. But I mean, the whole thing is that like in living in our like luxury and our leisure and like in things that don't necessarily matter, we're ignoring the fact that we're almost intruding way too much into like the natural course of things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it would have to be at us like for us to live safely amongst like nature, right? Like we would have to cut back on a lot of the stuff that we consider normal to us as humans. You know what I mean?
Which in like late stage capitalism will just never happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, imagine the Sino guy trying like being like, okay, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Let me give up all these properties and
I'll just wear a loincloth.
Yeah. So like, so anyways,
dude, I mean, like, forget asking him to give up properties. This guy owns a zebra. Like this guy owned a zebra.
Jesus Christ.
So like,
send the zebra back home.
This shit is quite well.
Free the zebra.
Well, he actually doesn't have it anymore because like this is a funny story. So this guy, like, he feels like a supervillain in like the town that I'm from, because like
sounds like one too.
But like, dude, like this guy is legitimately like he feels like a comic book supervillain. Like this motherfucker, dude. So like one of the biggest, like most expensive developments he has, it's kind of like you go up this hill and then like on the whole, like one side of this downslope, it's just like a bunch of huge houses. And at this guy, literally, his house is at like the top of this mountain, almost like he's like a supervillain, and he owned all this property just going down the sides of these hills, and he had all these animals. He had like donkeys and cows and stuff, and then one day he just got a fucking zebra, which was the weirdest thing ever. Like, he feels like a comic book supervillain, but he had to get rid of the zebra because the donkeys were trying to like impregnate the zebra.
So you were gonna have zonkies?
Yeah, so you were gonna have zonkies. Yeah, so he had to get rid of it so they didn't have any zonkies. But guy is like a real life supervillain.
That's crazy. Investigate him. He sounds sus.
Wait, doesn't like a couple families own like the vast majority of the real estate in LA too, or is it?
Yeah, I'm sure. There's like that BlackRock thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. Like, I want to say, I feel like I see like the same name on like on like so many businesses that are like for lease or whatever, or even homes, but like I don't know, like it's also like such a huge city that like it's hard to really, I don't know, like that's just a whole nother like conversation. Like, that problem within the city,
growing up in LA and obviously being musicians growing up in LA, was it strange to kind of like feel the pressure of like the external industry existing here, but it also at the end of the day being your home? Because that's like I imagine like a really strange dichotomy, because like somebody like me, like I move here to be around music and work in the music industry, but it's very different, I would imagine, when it's like your home. Was that like overwhelming growing up?
No, honestly, I feel like whatever is like the music or entertainment industry, I feel like it was almost popping off more outside of it. I feel like a lot of people come here and then like
they leave.
No, eventually? Not even that. Like they'll come here and then they'll be like, I'm gonna go into the music industry, and then they play events and stuff that it's like ain't no one from LA like playing these events. It's like you're just playing with other transplants, and it's just like okay, like all right, cool, like you know what I mean. It's really hard, I guess, for people like that to find like the people who are LA like native or like I guess local, whatever.
Well, it seems like the industry
almost
ignores. Ignores
ignores people
like
from
they want to hire the person who like made the big jump.
Man, they moved from Wisconsin.
I grew up in small town America
and I made it to the big city.
I wanted to get to the big city and like that's what they want to hear, That's the person they want to hire.
It kind of comes here. It's like not from here. It comes here.
Think about it. We also have to compete with like large artists that play like the big venues, like at the fucking like, big theaters. Like there are Swifts in town all of a sudden. Then all of our friends are Swifties. They go to the Swift show. They're not gonna come to our show. But it's like
But I feel like the scenes that do cultivate outside of it, like I mean, I feel like it just doesn't. It's irrelevant. Like the entertainment, like music industry on that side of it is like almost irrelevant. It's like I have never.
It's very separate.
Yeah, like I have never wanted to play a show with any band that was associated with. You know what I'm saying? More so like where it's like I want to play shows with bands that it's like I see locally they're doing cool. It's like oh yeah, that's what I want to play with.
You see like in a lot of like there's a lot of those pages like on Instagram.
Could you move the mic a bit closer to your mouth? Thanks, bro.
Like it's like this pages on Instagram or just like on YouTube. It's like archival like videos of like back in like Midwest emo or whatever. It's like they're all playing in basements or like in like a random like in restaurants or something, or like a New York playing in like somebody's apartment or a loft or whatever. And it's like those kind of things are like specific to that city. Or like LA, like we were talking about like backyard shows.
That was
like
the thing.
That is like
that is an LA like
music
thing.
Scene. Like that like I'm not saying it's only us, obviously, like everybody does it, but like here that's where every band starts, and like some bands don't ever leave the backyard, but you don't really ever see that stuff get out like in that kind of capacity, like the archival, like oh, remember like this huge band we all love, like here's them playing in the backyard. Like rarely you'll see like maybe like No Doubt or Sublime, or like I think like Korn, like I saw like footage of them like playing like a backyard show, but like it's because like like the people that are from here who go about playing music, it's like if nobody cares almost, it's like people don't want to hear about that because and like whereas like all this cool footage that does exist of bands that did these things and like this epic like backyard music scene that's always been a thing, it's like nobody knows about it because a lot of these bands from here don't ever make it out that big. Like it's rare when bands that are LA based are actually from LA. Like people say like, oh, like what's your favorite like LA album? And it'll be like LA Woman by the Doors, or like I don't know, even like Los Angeles by X. It's like, but now one of those people
are from here.
From LA.
That's actually so fascinating to me, and I wonder if like the reason that some of those backyard shows are flourishing here specifically is because like you're almost at a disadvantage, I think, growing up in LA.
For sure.
Because I think like other places, what is happening musically is like oriented by the local scene. Exactly. Here it's not. It's oriented by like the national scene. Like one thing I always talk about a lot is that there's so many artists who get like big in LA before they get big anywhere else, and very often those artists aren't even from LA.
No, yeah.
But like they'll just cultivate like an LA crowd. You know, like I feel like there's a lot of like indie pop artists like this. Like they'll come from somewhere, and not that this is like bad or good, it's just what it is. But like, you know, they'll come from somewhere. They blow up here, but they blow up very locally because it's like, you know, a pretty local trending sound or whatever. And they'll kind of grow and cultivate like a local audience. And then I think having an LA audience, because very often it's so inherently tied into the industry, kind of gives you a really natural next step into like, you know, expanding what you're doing, getting on some bigger tours and stuff. But most of those acts, I feel like they're never from here. Yeah. I almost feel like you're at a disadvantage here.
Yeah, because like whereas like people see LA as like like the big like you know, Hollywood, and like you think of LA as like where you go and you play like some big like the Forum or something, you know, like that's where you go and you sell out an arena, and like that's LA. That's what LA is, you know, like big city lights, whatever the hell. And like any of these small venues are like, okay, like you're not ready for that big arena yet, so let's put you in the small venue, then you get in the bigger one until eventually you're in the arena and you're living the LA dream or whatever. And it's like that's what people think is the point of LA. Yeah. You know, like LA music. It's like there's no LA music scene. Like there's no like cultivated music scene that comes from LA or like from the people that live there or that are from there. It's only there for us to use it. Like the only thing of like the city is like their like their playground.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like people come here thinking that it's like a playground. You know what I mean? And completely dismiss everything. But that's where the true culture is happening, everywhere outside of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's pretty interesting to see. I think like a really funny thing that maybe kind of has something kind of to do with it, maybe not, because her music is actually good. But Chaperone, dude, our drummer's band opened up for her like literally just a couple months before she like really blew up.
Dude, she's been around forever.
Yeah, she's been around forever. But you know, she moved to LA. She did the big city dream thing. Yeah.
I have some friends that went to music school with her. Like she's been doing this thing for like 10 plus years.
Yeah, I mean that's how long it takes. We've been in it forever. Yeah, 15 years. Because I don't know how old you are. We're pretty old.
Yeah, I'm 20. I just turned 23.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. Enjoy.
That's great.
Please enjoy. Please
yes.
No, that I think that's a good example of that. I think it's interesting too what you were saying about like the geography part of it. I was recently thinking about this because I was talking to a producer friend of mine, and she's from New York, and she was talking about like this was so fascinating to me. She was talking about how different the process of doing like production is in New York versus LA, simply because of the fact that like you're doing 95% of like stuff you would track live here in the box in New York, simply because you don't have room for drums. And I was like, that's a really interesting thing. I've never even considered that. But it's like when you're recording in like a loft that's turned into a studio, there's no way you have room for a kit. You probably don't even have room for like, you know,
that's what we were saying when we went to New York. When we went to New York, we're like, how the heck do you guys even practice?
Yeah. Like,
you know, like where do you practice?
That's what's so funny about like New York versus New York versus LA is that people do care about the New Yorker, like you know, like people like really like romanticize that whole thing of like being the kid who grew up in small town Queens or in the Bronx.
In New York, you feel like they romanticize that?
And then you blew up to like, you know, I mean that is essentially the story of like most like, you know, like elite or like rich people.
Yeah, that's true.
They came from New York, and whether they try to pass it off as like, oh, I'm from like fucking stupid Donald Trump said some bullshit like I grew up in Queens and now look at me. I'm like,
he's a small town guy.
You fuck, you know, whatever.
Fucking idiot.
But people do.
He's like, I grew up with nothing.
I got started with a small loan of $1 million.
Just a small loan of $1 million. But,
I'm really a product of my environment.
But that's why it's like people like romanticize that. Like, people don't even think of like what a Los Angeles native would even look like or sound like, but everybody can think of a New York accent, you know, and that's somebody that's
hella
from
true.
New York.
Yeah.
And so I think about like so many great bands that are from New York, and I'm like, when we were last there, we just like met some people that are like in a band from there, and they're all from like Staten Island or something. And I'm like, how do you guys even practice? None of you live in houses.
Yeah, you guys like you have to carry your amp and guitar like on the train.
And he told me like, bro, like, how do you get to gigs? Like, none of you have
okay, wait.
either.
They do have a really good public transportation system.
But
just because you don't like it doesn't mean people can't get around.
Look. All I'm saying is that like, riding the subway like really late at night. And like sketchy parts of the city.
Don't listen to what David says. It's fun, it's efficient, and it's cool.
Okay, it can be dangerous though. So
it's dangerous anywhere.
I will say though,
it's dangerous right here in front of me. No, I'm kidding.
I will say though, growing up riding BART and then riding the subway as I got older, it like the shit I've seen on BART. First, like I felt incredibly safe on the subway just because bro, I watched people OD on BART. Like,
for sure.
BART is. Scary.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was just like, it's just
Also,
we had that
Subway's
conversation
way
of
cleaner.
like, how did bands even do it like for all these years?
Yeah, it's so different. It's so different. I mean, think about like all the fucking bands in the 90s and 2000s that came out of New York. Like, whether, like the Strokes. It's Moldy Peaches. Like there's endless examples of this, you know? So it's like,
where do you get the drum kit? They borrow it from someone outside busking.
Well, that's the thing is like, how are you like transporting a drum set to shows? You know?
I wonder
like on the train, I guess.
Yeah, genuinely. I wonder.
I mean, I guess that's how it works.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, because like,
so I'm not knocking it.
Because like I also don't want to support the automobile industry here. You know, because everyone in LA got to have at least 2 cars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro, it's fucking impossible, dude. It's so impossible. I always think like most cities, most cities I would live in, I wouldn't have a car. But like here, like you have to.
I mean, we have a car, and it still took us like an hour and a half to get over here. With everything going wrong.
I wonder, like I've always had, and this is again like super subjective. I don't know if this is true or not, but to me it's always seemed like a lot of people, when they're first trying to get their foot in the door or like get a project off the ground, they'll move to LA. And then I feel like cities like Chicago or like New York, I feel like very often those cities are like next steps after you've already established yourself. So I'd be curious if there's less like entry level bands in New York because it's a little bit harder.
I see what you're saying.
You know, because everything, like all the problems we just laid out, right? Those can all just be overcome with money. Like if you have money, you can just get a practice space. You have money, you can you know, whatever. But it's like if you're a very, very early stage band that can't fund anything, you're independent, don't have any label backing or whatever, that's got to be really hard in New York, and maybe harder to do it in New York than here.
Well, I feel like as of late, like the past couple of years, you're kind of seeing like almost like a reverse where like I haven't heard of too many bands or artists coming out of New York. There's been some very awful like rappers to come out of there, but like there hasn't been like a big name
get us in trouble
like rapper out of New York either. But in LA is like
Ice Spice.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
I take everything back.
You thought I was feeling you?
But like obviously, you know, like Kendrick, and Tyler the Creator, and like Earl Sweatshirt, those are all LA guys.
Yeah.
And like they're the biggest artists right now. And bands too. Like Kuko, you know, like he's
LA.
He's a native of LA.
Yeah.
And it's like he was the biggest artist for a long time. And just or like, you know, I don't know how much credit you want to give her, like Billie Eilish, you know. I mean, she was born and raised in LA, you know.
She's like Culver or something, right?
I think she's from Highland Park.
I think she's from Highland Park.
Oh, really?
Like Northeast LA.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, like,
well, we don't know, but
she definitely, you know.
So, but I guess LA. That's LA though. Like wherever it was. It was here in LA or close by.
But like, I think maybe like the tides are turning kind of thing to where it's like it's a result of so many people having come here for so long, like for music. Yeah. And it's like it's kind of like built, I don't know, like it's some sort of like infrastructure. Like people see it as like, oh well, now like after so many years of people taking music to LA, now there's music there, and like. People are paying more attention, I guess. It's weird. Like it's just something I kind of noticed where it's like I am seeing more like native LA people like actually like blowing up in music. And even kind of like in art, you know, like, you know, for us too, it's like we're all from here and we're doing better than I ever thought that we'd do. You know, so that
surprisingly. Finally.
Talk about that a little bit. So I mean, you were saying like 15 at least years in this, right? Like 10,
I mean,
15 years?
I started making music in high school, and so did these guys. So okay, full disclosure here. I am an elder. So
you're not an elder.
I turned 33 this year.
That's not an elder.
Elderly.
We're the elders. The elder emos. No,
Where's your walking stick?
I hate that whole thing.
This whole time it's like, okay, grandma, let's get you.
Let's get you. Talking about LA, like let's get you to bed. Like when it actually it actually used to rain in LA. All right, grandma.
It all burned down in a fire 2 weeks ago, grandma. Let's go.
All right.
But no, yeah. I mean, I started making music when I was a teenager. And then, and these guys too. And then I've just been in and out of bands since high school. But I feel like, I mean, you know, just like with any musical project, it is hard to get something, especially with bands, I say. Like, it's hard to find people that are like on the same page as you. You know, especially when I was younger, it's like everyone was on some bullshit, you know, it's like, and I didn't want to take music like, or not that they didn't want to, but they couldn't get their shit together to take music serious.
I mean, it's hard. Yeah.
It is hard. Yeah. And like, I feel like a lot of people grow up with like traditional, like Latino families, you know, that are like, go get a real job, mijo. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it is kind of hard to fight against that. Like, I guess like kind of in the area I grew up, like that's kind of the vibe that you know.
You grew up in East LA, you said?
Like, okay, my parents are divorced, so I grew up a little bit everywhere.
Gotcha.
But I spent most of my time in East LA. But I grew up like I don't know. I lived in Whittier for a minute. That's where I was born technically. But I grew up in Whittier, and then I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, like kind of right by his house. We moved since then. Right now, I'm on the border of Monterey Park and East LA.
Okay, gotcha.
And then
I love that area.
A 5-mile radius, but everywhere.
Yeah, and no, but then I went to school in La Puente, which is like more like east. So it's just like, and I worked all over, so like Hollywood and whatever. So I know the city kind of like. Except for maybe the like west side that I don't know that well, but
when you were gone, we were just talking about this. How like no musicians on the west side.
Well, because that's what all the industry stuff is like for the most part, you know. Not saying that you know whatever, but you know we're I guess like just on the east side, like that's where the shit that we're interested in is happening, you know. But yeah, anyways. I was like I don't know, I forgot where I was going with this, but regardless, like I feel like it was kind of hard to find like people. To really like jam with, and I think once we've all found each other, I think that's when things started to take off because they were serious about it. You know,
when was that? How many years ago was that?
We started the band like technically in 2018. Yeah, and then I started Yungatita as a project like in 2015.
Because you had a prior project, right?
I had a prior project, like I was in another band before that, but I started Yungatita because I was just like, fuck the bands, like fuck working with people. Yeah. Like everybody's always dipping out on me, or like we clashed, or like they don't got their shit together. And I'm just going to do it myself. And so I just started making songs by myself on my Ableton.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then one song kind of blew up. Well, it was 7 weeks because I dropped it like before the official drop, like on Spotify.
When was that? How many years ago was that?
It must have been 2017, early 2018. Yeah. And then Katsuoso, Paul. So I don't know if you know Katsuoso, another band, who's from like Montebello area. Yeah. He hit me up, was like, yo, you know, this song fucking rocks. Do you know how to play keys? And I was like, yeah, but I don't got a keyboard. He's like, come through to practice. And I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And then that's where I met these guys. And then shortly after that is when we started the band.
We were all in Katsuo.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then
we all joined Katsu together too.
Gotcha. So, but you feel like when you kind of met them, that was the big turning point?
That was a huge turning point because I was like, these people are serious. Like, if they're already taking it serious with Katsu, because like that was a serious band. I mean, Katsu was doing really well.
That's where we first got our first like big experiences touring. Our first time touring.
You guys played that festival with Tyler the Creator.
Yeah. Put us on with like Kuko.
Yeah.
Like
what festival?
It was just one of.
It was random.
It was just like something that they had like
at the observatory.
They used to always have just like random festivals.
Claro, like
early
days.
That's crazy.
I wasn't in the band yet, but I like I saw it all.
It was a big bedroom pop boom.
Oh yeah, because like I like
was a big LA thing, right?
Yeah.
So we were thrown into that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like it's our first time like working with a manager and having like label like situations or whatever. Yeah, it's like we like got all that experience like through that band, and just like through getting like really tight with each other as people and like learning and like getting frustrated over that, or even just like like our first couple tours together were just like, you know, like us learning how to tour. So like we just got that whole, we got it down, and then this started going, and then once it started getting to that, we're like, oh, now we're getting like the chance to tour.
Well, yeah.
It's like, we were already like.
Well, yeah, the song went viral. The song went viral, and I think that was like a turning point. That was like, oh,
like this is real.
This is gonna happen.
How gratifying was that for you, as somebody who's been writing songs so long before that?
At first, I was kind of stoked. I immediately, like, not very long after that, I was like, I hate this.
Really?
A little bit, yeah, because like, dude, I don't know. I guess like I have like really like I have like control issues or something.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But it's like I hate sometimes seeing like a song, something that I made, like just being completely out of context used for some violent ass shit. Because it took off on TikTok, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that perspective. That's cool. That makes sense.
Okay, well it'll make sense. It'll make sense. Because at first people were using it for some cosplay, and I was like, I fuck with the cosplay, bro. I fuck with the furries. I fuck with like
shout out the furries.
Shout out furries. I fuck with the weebs, with the weebs that use like the anime overdubs and stuff on the song. Like I'm like I fuck with all of this, but what I don't fuck with is like people using it for like Jeffrey Dahmer, and like they were using it for like true crime, like showing like the actual victims, like Polaroids and stuff. Yeah, all bad, dude, all bad. And I was just like, oh my god, weird. Dude, I hate this. And then like all the little kids on my SoundCloud like commenting, being like, "It's over. I'm killing myself tonight." I'm like, bro, like, oh, yeah, dude,
that was
all
like,
bad.
That was like how it took off.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So the way, okay, one time, like I looked at my stats on like the Spotify artist thing, and I was like, what the heck? Why am I getting like so many like listens? Like I look and I'm like 10,000 plays a day. I'm like, what? Like what is going on? Like just a huge spike. And then I went onto my oh no, this was even before I noticed the spike. So I went onto SoundCloud, and it was taking off there too. Like 7 weeks has always been kind of viral. Like but before I dropped it on Spotify, like it was only really viral on SoundCloud. Yeah. So I remember going to it before anything took off, and there was a comment that said, wait till TikTok finds this, right? And then I didn't pay no mind to it, whatever. But then when I started to see the spike, where I was like, what the fuck? Like, I went back to SoundCloud.
Foreshadowing.
And then somebody responded to that comment saying, like, found it. And then boom, like, everything just started to take the fuck off. Whoa. Yeah, I was like, what in the world?
It's like a scene in a movie.
Dude, it was so crazy. It was so crazy. And obviously it feels good to write something that people relate to. Of course, I love that aspect of it, but then it started to run with like Jeffrey Dahmer stuff, or like I don't know, some weird shit. Like people would send me like videos of like Donald Trump with my song in the back. I'm like, oh my god, dude, like fuck this, man.
Thing for sure. Like because like if you heard us now or see us now, we are not.
Oh yeah, we sound
anymore.
No, it sounds very different.
Yeah,
and we have been trying to escape that song pretty much this whole time that we've been
we're running,
we've been performing that song even when we were in Catuoso. Like Val would sing it, and we would just play it. So we've been playing that song for years now. Yeah, and we hit a point where we're like, I think it's time to move on.
I'm done.
It's crazy to see the way these bands act now, that they have to get a song on TikTok. They have to. Whereas we just like.
I didn't push.
Don't post anything.
You could go to my TikTok. I don't ever post. My last post was like 2 years ago.
I feel like that puts a little bit. I would imagine there'd be a bit of a jealousy thing there as well. Like, because I there's so many bands that just like artists of all kinds, they're just trying and trying and trying to get someone to hit on that app, and it's so random at a certain point, and then it just happened for you guys. So I get it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's weird. It's just like weird.
It's one of those I don't know. I guess like grass is always greener on the other side of situations. Yeah. Because it's like, I mean, if that song never took off, we may have never gone on any of these tours. We might not be sitting here with you right now.
Yeah, true.
We'd be just grinding it like any other band.
Yeah.
But that song definitely like did that for us. Yeah. But now it's like,
I'm definitely grateful. I don't want to sound ungrateful.
Yeah, of course.
Just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, we're so like to have done all these crazy things that we've done.
It's difficult. Yeah, because I feel like you always want something to go as well as possible. Obviously, it goes viral as possible always, but it's like you never want to be defined by something. Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think makes it difficult because like literally, like I think one of the biggest parts about being any kind of artist, right? Whether you're a musician or a cook, it's about like reinventing yourself time and time and time again. And I think sometimes when you're defined or identified by like one specific thing that you made, it can get hard to like figure out a way to reinvent yourself in people's eyes, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think though, I used to feel more like kind of down and out about that kind of stuff because, you know, I am constantly changing, you know, I mean, yeah, like you said, like artists and I mean, anybody is constantly changing, you know what I mean? It's just that obviously artists express their change, right? But to be honest, the people that like fuck with what we're making now are like fans. Yeah. You know, or like not even fans, but like people who truly support.
It feels different.
Yeah. So like the people that listen to the viral song, they were never gonna tap in like that anyways, regardless if we kept writing music like that. But the fans that we're getting, you know, from, you know, whatever, the fans that we're getting like from our music that we're making now or that found us through the viral song and liked our other stuff. Yeah. It's like those are the people that are going to like stick by. And I even if it might not be as much as like the inflated numbers of the viral song, like I appreciate that much more, you know, like it's way more important to me.
We're never a part of any scene or anything.
Interesting. Yeah.
And like, you know, once the song started taking off, but we've already been this like rock band like for
for a while,
but we still have to play that song. But once we started,
it's not a rock song, which is what's so interesting about it. Yeah.
When we started getting asked to play like with High Curbs or like with you know, Sad Park took us on tour or like, even like Sundiver, it's like going from like just hoping like that like we get some offer for just a show is like, you know, like fuck, like maybe people just don't fuck with us, you know, to even just people being like, oh, like we like take like a High Curbs fan or Sad Park and be like, oh yeah, Yungatita, like I saw them, they're sick, they're cool, and be like, dude, thank you. Like, they know us, you know,
and
like
now to become part of a community.
To feel more part of something. Like we feel a part of something now.
Do you feel like? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say like these people inviting us like along. Yeah. Like we did the first Happy Daps and we're gonna do this one coming up. It's like, dude, even that first one, I feel like did so much for us. Yeah. Like it put us.
Shout out Happy Daps.
Shout out Ed, man.
Dude, shout out Ed. Fucking legends that have been doing it forever. Yeah. And like it's like we finally got like grouped in with like a cool like group of like sick ass bands.
Yeah, that we actually like.
Yeah. And like the people that go to those shows just go to
They're
shows.
there to rock.
You know, it's like one thing I loved about the Sad Park tour was that a lot of the people there were just there because like, hey, there's just like a cool show going on. Yeah. You know, like they definitely were like a lot of like fans of like Sad Park, and even us, like we had some people come out for us. But it's like people that are just like, oh, there's a sick show happening at the local fucking venue. Yeah. Why won't I go to that? Yeah. And that's always like the coolest thing is that that's where we found ourselves now. It's like amongst music listeners instead of people that are just going to go see like
7 weeks.
Yeah. You know,
essentially.
You guys had this cool trajectory where you skyrocketed, and I think very often, I feel like I've seen this a ton. There's so many acts that like they'll have that song, right? Like they'll have their 7 weeks or whatever, and then all this stuff happens, and then they, you know, it stops happening because that's what happens with every viral song. But whenever they fall, they don't fall to the right place. And when I say fall, I don't even mean like they're going down. It's just like obviously you can't like no one
you can't
rides their best song forever. That's just not natural, right? But it's like some people, they just fall into like awkwardness or like a place where they can't be. It sounds like you guys fell into a place where like you really fit in, which is amazing.
Well, I think what has to do with that a lot is like so a lot of these bands that have like a viral moment, and I'm not saying everybody, obviously there's always exceptions, but I feel like a lot of people like started kind of doing something and they didn't really have the experience behind them. Yes. They didn't have a band put together. Like they had to get one together to start playing shows. And like a lot of these people like are actually like are pretty young, and there's nothing wrong with that. You could have your shit together really young, but like, you know, when you're younger, you don't really know what the fuck. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I was 21 or whatever, you know? So, but like for us, I think the reason why we were able to kind of find ourselves in a place is like, we're all well-seasoned musicians, you know what I mean?
You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, we've been doing this and like, we've been waiting for our time to kind of shine. You know, we go out there and we, not to be all like cocky or whatever, but like, you know, we like to go out there and rip, you know? We're really like on top of our shit, and I feel like that helped a lot, you know?
I mean, that's a really great point. There were so many musicians during the pandemic. This blew my mind. Like when somebody would just start making music during the pandemic, because like that, you know, that makes perfect sense.
You're bored, you want to make music.
Like fuck it, I'll try it out, you know?
For sure.
Then they're just naturally good at it. They have one song, they post a snippet on TikTok, it goes insane. They drop it, it goes insane. They're coming out of the pandemic, and all of a sudden, they can play 2,000 cap rooms and they've never played a show.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Like the amount of artists who like their first show was just like insanely huge because of the TikTok thing is like unbelievable to me. I can't imagine that. Like imagine never playing a show. Your first show you ever play is like a 3,000 caps.
Dude, no, our first shows were literally like to nobody at like some shitty dive bar. You know,
in our friend's backyard.
But people go to those. People go to those. But like the dive bar, man, I played so many dive bars, and I was like, dude, that was a time.
Was the prior project kind of more like that bedroom pop kind of like synth type of sphere, or was it?
It was very like.
Well, what prior project?
Spanish, Katsuoso.
Oh, with Katsu?
Oh, no, I was talking about theirs.
Yeah, my like old project. It was like what do you call it? We were like an indie pop band.
Okay, gotcha.
But we only dropped like an EP, and then then it just didn't work out, and so I started doing Yungatita. And then met these guys, and then
Gotcha.
But I was like in a bunch of other bands. Like I was in a punk band. I was like a synth punk band. That was my first band ever. Was a synth punk band with my friend Rodder. Shout out Rodder. I don't know where you are, but shout out.
Shout out Rodder. That's a cool name, Rodder. It's interesting because I found you guys from the album last year, and that was like my first introduction to music. Which was obviously like I'm very like I love that kind of music, so I found it. But then backtracking was so interesting because so much of it is so different. It's very very different, especially like the biggest songs. They're all very different. So do you feel like the fans that you've made from the album and the fans that were kind of associated with the prior stuff? How often do they mix? Like, are they two kind of different eras of Yungatita fans, or do they kind of mix?
Because the ones that are fans like the song are usually like young, like
they're
kids.
like little kids.
And like
which is cool, their parents bring them to the shows. But then I feel bad because sometimes we don't play 7 weeks, so they're just like, wow, I just sat. I'm just like screaming at
children.
They're all scared, like, But it's funny because then the parents fuck with us. It's always like where they're like, oh, they didn't play my song, but the dad is there like, no, let me have your autograph.
You remind me of like suicidal tendencies. They're like, you remind me of like Dirt or the Hole. Some random 90s like air metal band. You guys are just like Motley Crue.
Totally.
No, definitely like that is essentially the difference, and like like I think we're starting to see more fans of like just us, like that they just either they heard our album like just through word of mouth or whatever, and then they find out like, oh, that we did, because everybody knows that song at this point. Like,
they're like, oh, it's that band.
Whichever, like, whether you're one or the other, you for sure know that song.
For sure.
That's our biggest song.
I think the thing that really helps out too is like honestly touring, like whoever's taking it, like Cheekface, shout out Cheekface, shout out Sad Park, shout out the drums, because I feel like people obviously, I mean, that's the way touring's supposed to work as a like opening band, right? Is like you're supposed to go, you want to go see this main band, and then like the opener, like as an opener, you hope that you get those like
the spots that work.
And I feel like people really fuck with us after seeing us play live, which is super gratifying because I think that's our strong point.
Do you guys have an agent?
No.
That's the other thing.
Damn, that's awesome. Good for you. That's fucking sick.
We've managed without an agent.
So. That's hard. You've been all those tours without an agent?
Without an agent,
Well, because also like we've been offered like tours that are already put together. So it's like you just got to sign off, like.
Yes. We did tour with an agent once, but that.
We don't speak of such things.
We don't.
I'm just kidding.
They will go unnamed.
Just wasn't a fit.
When did I imagine the live setup from when you were playing a bunch of the original Yungatita music to the stuff off the album is vastly different.
No, it's the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the cool thing.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
The cool thing. It's it's like a little bit different, but not really.
We reduced. I used to have a 2-tier keyboard.
Oh, you did? Yeah, we reduced.
Did you ever play the tracks for some of the old stuff, or was it all live always?
All live.
All live. Yeah. No, I don't. Personally, there ain't nothing wrong with it. I ain't knocking it. But I hate playing with a backing track. I hate that so much. Like
kill a lot of the energy with no drums.
Yeah, just go up there and play, dude. Like I'm very much like, if we could strip it down as much as possible, that's like my thing. Like we're just here to rock. Yeah, that's kind of what I like.
Do the shows now feel a lot different than those early shows in terms of like who is there, the energy in the crowd, and if you guys had to kind of like reshift the way that you're presenting yourself as performers because you feel like you're playing to a new audience?
Well, also too, like, I mean, like, with anything, like with experience, you get more locked in.
Of course, yeah.
So like, our first couple of shows, like, there's like videos of us like up there those first couple of shows. Oh, sorry, my stomach's being weird.
I know, and I'm all sniffly.
Sorry.
My allergies
like,
are all messed up.
Yeah,
so.
mine are bad today
okay,
too.
all right, so
What do you call it? Yeah, like we're so awkward up there, like the long pauses in between songs, and like being like, all right, so that was that, like switching synth sounds, like, so that was that song, and this next song.
Oh God, I wouldn't even
this
be able
song,
to.
you know? Yeah, like tuning in, like all the weird noises. And like
and now we're locked in.
Just the awkward in between, you know, and like, and not having really so much of a flow throughout the set. It's just going song to song. But now it's like we like will make like we have transitions that we you know, we work on, and like our whole set flows together like really well now.
Yeah.
And we even like we'll accidentally end up like choreographing like like moves with each other, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like stuff like or like me and our drummer will like, okay, like you still need a tune and you still need to like switch around your
so they jam for a second.
So like, okay, you and I, let's work out a little jam or something we could do. That's not gonna be like, oh, the drummer and basses are jamming with a bunch of dickheads, you know.
Yeah,
it's like, let's
it's
make
like
it
something in good taste.
good taste, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like our set now is like so like fine tuned.
It's so locked in.
Yeah.
That's gotta help with nerves so much.
Oh
bro.
yeah, 100%.
I still get just as nervous as ever.
Okay, wait, because like there's
okay.
the pre-show nervous that nothing cures that.
Yeah.
But then like the during the show nervousness,
Oh,
it
yeah,
goes
no.
completely
No, you
out
block
the
out.
window. Because like I used to
Yeah.
feel nervous throughout an entire set because of those like awkward oh my God, an awkward moment and like having to stay silent. Oh my God,
Yeah.
kill me. That like literally like perpetual like fucking fear.
Yeah.
And like that would be my hell. It's just like a weird in between. Like just put me in that moment.
Purgatory.
Yeah.
So this Doug that you've been speaking of, Val's boyfriend.
This Doug?
Doug from Blueberry.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys booked for you guys' show.
Yeah. I'm the biggest Blueberry stan of all time.
Oh no,
Dude,
no,
but
that's me.
that
Sorry.
show is
Yeah.
they
I like-
debuted the beats that he would play between
So
songs.
insane,
That
bro.
was
Oh,
so sick.
he just introduced that to the
Yeah,
set.
that was honestly
So
like such a,
sick.
because you know every band has that problem of like, we need a tune, we need to like, you need to
Yeah.
program the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like, you
that's
know.
their thing is like programming the Game Boy.
So now Doug plays beats, and I'm like, dude, that's such
So
a sick
funny, yeah.
transition.
I can't stop listening to that fucking album.
I
Dude, it's
love
fucking
Blueberry.
in and out of
They've
the
been my favorite band for many years.
They like introduced me to a whole like new, like I had never listened to like chiptune shit
Yeah,
before
yeah.
then, but now I'm like into it. Like they're so sick.
It's so
yeah.
sick. It's really so sick.
Yeah.
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 What were you saying about them though? I'm sorry.
No, it's just like you know, because every band deals with that, the whole awkward pauses.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to tune or like, you know, switch up sounds on whatever synthesizer or whatever, and it's like, what are you doing in between? It's hard enough to get up there and play as it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not a stand-up comedian. Like, I don't know how to entertain these people.
Yeah.
I know everyone's just looking at you straight face.
Yeah.
It's like,
When you do like
Yeah.
say something, you're like, this will be funny, and
and
then
then
it just
nobody
falls flat.
just
No one
and you're
laughs.
like, fuck.
I was talking to In Vitro about this yesterday.
Oh my God.
I had them on. And
So nice.
And I was telling them though, I was like, damn, though, I will say though, I hate a motherfucker who just like tells their whole life story between
Dude.
every song.
Dude, shut up and play, bro.
Yeah, like shut up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
Like
when we got to the point of saying like, yeah, don't name the song, just play the damn music.
Just-
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this song was written when I was in a dark place, and here's
like,
where
okay.
it's like,
Yeah.
just I mean, like one or two songs, like sure, but like every single, like you just take all, you seep all the energy out of the room.
Yeah.
Like,
I will literally walk out.
The only time
There's been
that-
bands I liked and I've walked out. I'm like, I can't
The
deal
only
with
time
this.
that matters is when you're seeing a band that you actually love. It's like,
Yeah, like a big touring
a-
act.
Yeah, like if I'm seeing, I don't know, fucking The Replacements or something, like,
Yeah.
like if they're gonna say that before one of their songs, I'm like,
Listen,
I'm
yeah.
here for it, you know.
Yeah.
But if like the local band that I've never heard before is going off like this, I'm like, get on with it already.
Yeah, shut up. Yeah, that's
Play the
actually
song, Schneebly.
that's actually a
Schneebly.
it's actually a great point. I think there's I don't know. This sounds like I hope this doesn't sound toxic, but I think there's certain things you do have to earn the privilege to do, and I think
For
like
sure.
that comes with like earning your stripes and doing this for long enough to where like you've built the threshold of fan that will kind of sit through bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
Not that it's always bullshit, but like sit through you experimenting, sit through like you know wanting to try something new in your set, sit through like a longer set list. It's just like
Yeah.
making people a deeper level of fan. Like I feel like that should always be the goal. It's
Yeah.
like, and I think the same goes for local bands, right? It's like you need to have the kind of show where like when you're playing on a 9-act bill and somebody has no idea who you are, but they just happen to see you at this
That's-
house show, you have to convert them to a fan.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is just
That's
like
the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
you weren't winning anyone over by talking. Like, you know, no matter, even if what you're saying is cool, like just, you know, first and foremost, you're here to win over the crowd, which is already a tough feat. It's like, you're not gonna, like, comedians like have a hard time winning over crowds. It's like, I know nothing you gotta say ain't as funny as like a comedian, you know what I mean?
And I think that honestly what you said, like to earn your stripes, or like it's a privilege, you know, that you have to like earn. Sure. Because like if there's one thing that is like, you know, you have AI that's like coming for like everybody's creative jobs, and like all this shit that like changes up over time. It's like even like social media, like we're all so addicted to it, but like it changes up every couple years. It's like, you know, it was MySpace that became not cool, so then it was Facebook, that's not cool, Instagram, and then like, you know, that's becoming, I guess it's the one that's remained the longest, but like whatever, right?
True.
But the one thing that's like is always like a constant in life is live music.
Yes.
Like they've tried to recreate it so many different ways.
They can't.
They try to do it during the pandemic, and like they try to do like, I don't know, like virtual things, which like I guess like if you're really like craving like that, that like a live anything, it will scratch
fills
some
a
sort of
hole,
itch,
I guess.
but nothing beats like,
nothing beats being in a pit.
No.
and it's
people.
like it's the
No.
most primal thing that we still do to this day, probably.
Yeah.
Like as far as like the most like the industry that's the most like based in like its traditional roots is live music.
Yeah.
So it's like like, you know, there's still like the same. There's like you do like those cheesy like dad rock moves live, and people love it. Because it's like it's just one thing that will always be cool. You know?
I think what you just said, there's actually a lot of truth to it being primal. Like I legitimately think like there is something to that. I mean, I'm not a biologist, but like there's certainly something to like being upset and then going to a show and then throwing your body into a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like I feel music very deeply. Like it's my favorite thing in the world. I don't think that'll ever change. Like it makes me feel more than anything else ever has. And I think like for me at least, one of the cool things about a show is that like when I feel something that deeply, like my body needs like some kind of like physical exploitation of it. Like I need to like get rid of that energy in some way, and that's why I think being at a show feels so good, and dancing and moving feels so fucking good sometimes, especially if you like, and it's so different too, like if you love a band versus like if you don't know
all
the music.
Words.
That's so different.
So sick,
dude. I mean, like you like like moshing, like you like what started as like a like, you know, like rock shows, like punk shows, and now every genre across the board, like people,
rap
and it's like the most primal thing ever. It's like it's something that like no matter how like far advanced you get like with technology, it will always exist. It's like moshing, you know. And
except at Mac DeMarco shows, you cannot tell me people are gonna mosh to Chamber of Reflection.
Maybe they are, but very slowly.
Bro, come on. I feel like they did do that.
They did.
No, they did.
Okay. I thought you said it wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah,
they did.
They do.
Oh yeah,
that.
they do.
That's the thing.
Yeah, Mac DeMarco will be flying off like the balconies.
Mac DeMarco's all like,
straight up. That's like,
everybody they gotta be there.
And then he's like, doo-doo-doo.
He's got these crazy chorus pedals. He's like, that's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that is like, well, like to say like you know, like bands who. And like you get better over time. Like you learn how to do things. Like you gotta lock in whatever.
Of course, yeah.
But like you do see some people that don't really put in that effort.
Yeah.
Or they don't really like seem to give it that, I don't know, like
that care
that attention
that it needs.
Like you see some bands playing, they sound exactly like they do on record. And where some people might think that that's a good thing, it's like, no, like,
it's like, bro,
no, like I could have stayed home and listened to it.
I've heard the record.
Yeah.
Like, do it live, like make it live. You know?
Yeah.
You gonna drop names, David?
Fucking no.
Damn, you almost did there. That was crazy. No,
I feel like I know who you're talking about.
I think that's very true, though. I think it's like, and I will say, like, there's so many bands where I'm like, you're live. Oh, dude, like this, it's the coolest thing to me when you love a song, like you love it so deeply, and then you go see it in person, and just because of the nature of the song, it just sounds so different in person, and you love it even more because of that.
I love
or
that.
When have you guys? I think the inverse happens to me a lot, where I'll love a band, but I won't know a specific song, and I'll go see them live, and then I hear that song, I'm like, I don't know that one, and then I go home and I'm like, oh, this song's fucking sick.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, or even like going on like on YouTube and like like there's like a video of like a like Rage Against the Machine doing like Killing in the Name of, and it's like this one specific live version, like Zach De La Rocha's going off so hard that like he does this like shriek where it's just like, and it just makes the song so much more like fucking like like powerful. And it's like I'm like watching it, and it hits that moment. I'm just like, and I'm just watching like on my phone, it's like, you know, it looks so silly, but it's like that's what you go to a live show for, you know, for that moment.
Instinct acting out.
Yeah, it's like you're like the band's feeling it, and that's honestly like that's the best thing. It's like when you see the band experiencing it, you know, like. We saw Red Hot Chili Peppers like a couple years ago, and
they're so good live, man.
Every between like every song,
John Frusciante and Flea and Chad would just like jam.
They would just fucking jam.
Yeah,
and it was fucking sick.
Yeah, like Flea would just play. I don't know, maybe like they had.
Flea would be doing his like little handstands.
Yeah,
they had the show. I saw too.
He'd be just like walking on it like.
He's so weird. I just bought his book the other day.
Oh, Flea has a book?
Yeah, it's called Acid for the Children.
It's like
an autobiography.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read it. Yeah, I just bought it the other day.
Nice,
I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Above the Bridge is named after the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, because like under the bridge. Nice. All right.
I was trying to make like a pun about that the other day, and nothing came to mind. I was like, forget it.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's like, well, I always lie, and I'm always like, oh, it's because we're like from the Bay Area, you know, like from the Bay Bridge. But it's like that's like not it. I just was like obsessed with the Chili Peppers as a kid.
But that kind of does make sense though, because it is. Okay.
I just like lie. I'm like, yeah, that's like totally like where it came from. Like,
that's so funny. That's good to know. Good to know. The lore we're learning right now.
Hella lore. When you guys grew up in LA, were the shows that you were going to like? Because it's interesting, like you said, like a lot of the stuff you were making prior to like some of the new project and some of the latest stuff, it was a lot more bedrock or bedroom pop. I keep saying that wrong. Bedrock. Pop. I keep saying bedrock, like Minecraft. Yeah.
You could say we're so old that it was bedrock era.
Bedrock era.
Flintstones. We had pet dinosaurs in our first band.
Prehistoric.
There used to be that one jam place, Bedrock Studios.
That's right.
In Echo Park.
Cool name. R.I.P.
It's not there no more.
But yeah, a lot of it being more of like a bedroom pop type nature. When you kind of were growing up, was that a lot of the music you were inspired by, or were you inspired by like a lot more of like the alt punk stuff and like some of the stuff that was going on like that when you were growing up?
It was definitely more rocker stuff. Dance punk was like my. Like one of my favorite bands is The Rapture.
I love The Rapture.
Okay, yeah. Like that was like the type of shit I was listening to back then.
I found them because I read Meet Me in the Bathroom.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that was like kind of like the era that we kind of, you know, but yeah, like the bands like that, and even like older bands like Television or like, you know, shit like that. And what do you call it? Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of more what I was listening to. Also, I went to like a lot of raves when I was younger, so I listened to a lot of like EDM, like early on EDM. Bands like Digitalism, and shit like that, and I don't know. That's what I was. That's why like my first band ever was a synth punk band, and that was pretty sick. Like kind of like a, you know, bands like, have you ever heard of this band called Cat Bambino? Okay, or you know, Crystal Castles, yeah, shit like that. So it was like synth punk kind of. So it was like, you know, usually live drums. Or at least like they played a couple of shows with live drums and then just like, you know, some heavy fucking synths and just screaming into a mic. Yeah. Like that was, or You Love Her Because She's Dead. Like that's the kind of shit.
That's a crazy name.
Yeah, I think they changed their name now. And dude, okay, so Cat Bambino has been one of my favorite bands since I was like a kid. And dude, they're coming to LA and we got tickets.
Let's go.
And I'm so, dude, like the last time they were here, well, actually, I don't remember the last time they were here, but there used to be this club called Club Dance. And it was every Tuesday, all ages. And they fucking played and I couldn't go that night because I was like 14 or like 15 and I couldn't go. But anyways, dude, that my inner child is gonna be so happy to see Cat Bambino because they were like that was the blueprint for me.
That was like your band.
Yeah, I fucking love that band so fucking much. But anyways, that's the type of shit I was listening to at the time. So it's kind of funny, like, you know, that was early on, like my high school years. And then moving forward, it's like I've been like influenced by a lot of things. Like even with my dad, I grew up with dad rock music.
Nice, yeah.
You know, like, you know, stuff like Motley Crue and AC/DC and the Jimi Hendrix and that kind of stuff. And then he's the one that introduced me to like, you know, also like Black Flag and Dead Milkmen and shit like that. And then the indie scene, like that was a huge thing. Like I was really into the Strokes. You know, I fucked with the Strokes heavy and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Block Party and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there was just like a bunch of influences. Like I wasn't really listening to too much bedroom pop up until it became like
having a moment.
Yeah, not to say that it was like following even a trend, as some more like there was a lot of good music coming out that was just like that genre, you know what I mean? And I fucked with it pretty heavy. Like I definitely fucked with a lot of Taylor's like Tyler, the creator's like later stuff, which was kind of in that same era. Yeah. And Kuko, obviously, like, you know, I liked a lot of his songs like early on. And yeah, so I don't know. Like for me, my influences are all over the place. Yeah. Because like I would even say like my favorite band of all time is Modest Mouse.
Sick.
And like they're my top favorite band. But I love The Rapture, I like The Cure. Like those three bands were like pivotal. Is that the word?
Yeah.
You know,
blueprint. Yeah.
The bluept for me. But it's like, I don't know.
Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if that translates to what I make. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's so interesting because I think influence can happen like so many different ways. Like it can happen in like it can happen like not even in like musical terms, but in like an ethos almost.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Sometimes you can be inspired by like what somebody stands for, like musically, and like what you want to do.
For
like
sure.
I think about that all the time. Like I think even like in what I do, there's like music media and events companies that I'm like I would never like do that. Like I'm not like in that genre or whatever, but like I want to like be looked at or like make the kind of change that those people made, you know, or that community made. So I think there's all kinds of different ways to be inspired. That's like an interesting perspective.
Yeah. I always feel a little weird because I'm like, damn, like nothing makes sense on my when it comes to my writing process. But it's I don't know. That's where it's at. That's the reality, or that's real for me. So
was it like putting out the debut project? How gratifying was that? Because it seems like there was like a whole spectrum of journey to like get to this sound. Like you came from like all these, you know, different electronic sounds, and there was like a pop angle to it, and then, you know, there was like some indie in it, but the project feels very cohesive in a really, really, really cool way.
Okay, that's cool that you say that, because a lot of those songs I had already written for like years.
Interesting.
Yeah, like
when did that process kind of start?
Even before the EP dropped, I had songs that I had on the album that I had already when the EP dropped in like 2020. Yeah. So like I had already like what was the third song on the album? Fuck, I don't even remember my own music. Other, yes, I had that one for like ever. And you know, obviously. I don't know. I don't get into it. I can't even remember what's on the album now because we're working on new stuff. Yeah. So I'm like I don't have enough room in my brain to remember what happened in the past. But so it's funny. I'm glad that it comes off cohesive because there was a lot of new stuff on there, but there was a lot of stuff that I had already held on to for like a really long time, and I just wanted to get it out. Yeah. You know, because I didn't want to hold on to it any longer, like, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like I always think that the concept of the debut project is so cool. Yeah, because it's like when somebody who isn't like I guess super in the thick of music, when they hear debut project, they're probably like, oh, like it's the first thing a band puts out. Yeah, but it's like, god damn, you guys have been doing this for like a long fucking time, and it's like now is like the moment where you call something your debut. That's such a cool concept to me because I think everything else after that is different. It's forever changed. You know, it's like it's all kind of in the not in the shadow, but like it's all in like succession.
Yeah, I think like going like finally releasing the album, I was like I could finally let go of everything, you know, and I'm just moving forward now. So now it's like the music that I'm writing now. I mean, there's still songs I have now that I could have written for the album, you know. Yeah. But generally it's like now you're getting present me, you know, or you're getting future me, I guess, depending on how long it takes, you know. Or like not me, but like us essentially, you know. But I'm just thinking like in, you know, whatever. But so yeah, it is a little bit different because it's like there's really nothing old and like baggage wise anymore. Like now it's like very present, very intentional, you know, and very like almost even experimental now. Where it's like, what else can I do to make this fun?
That's so exciting. Yeah. It's like starting over. Yeah. It's like you get to figure out what you love about it again.
100%. Yeah. And it's really exciting and it's fun. Like we were having a session the other day, and I don't know, how did you guys feel about it?
No, it was honestly like because we spent a lot of last year touring, and we like in all of that we played like one LA show, and we don't have any like plans to tour like in the foreseeable future. Yeah. So and we have like a couple shows. We don't really play that often, and we really kind of took it really slow like after we finished touring. So with like not too many shows coming up, the one show got canceled like 2 weeks ago because of the fires.
Shit.
And all this kind of like real slow pace we're going with music, and I was kind of like feeling like, damn, dude, like
that's
I
it.
feel like I don't even do this anymore. Like, there would be days where like I would go see like a friend's band play, and that's so cool, man. I wish I could do that. I do that. What am I talking about?
Yeah. I do that. Yeah.
And so like there's like, you know, certain days when like you're in that headspace and you're like, God, like I don't even do what I do anymore. And then it felt like a total return to form the other day when we were like we were jamming.
Yeah, we were actually jamming now.
Yeah, we were jamming.
Let's go. Rock and roll.
And our good friend Charlie Brand.
Shout out Charlie Brand.
He's been a really good friend, a huge supporter of ours. He took Katsuoso on our first nationwide tour.
Cool.
And like early 2020, right before the pandemic, we squeezed in a U.S. tour.
Yeah.
Nice.
His band,
the COVID was following us.
Yeah, they took us. And he's just been a good friend ever since. He's helping us like put this album together.
Nice.
And he's super creative guy. You know, like so he's like he's an amazing producer, and so he's like, you know, there with us like as we're like jamming these songs out, and it just was like a really fast pace.
Dude, we got 2 songs.
And I was like, I needed this. I was like, I needed this to feel like alive again.
Yeah.
You know, it was almost where like I'm gonna go on a quick beer run. It's like, don't go, like it's too far. Like I'll just post it. Like, I'll be right back. You know, it's like
I'll just DoorDash it.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And it's like we just don't want to like take a pause because like we're
just in the zone. Yeah.
Damn,
it's really refreshing. For sure.
So we're gonna get back to it tonight, actually.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. That's gotta be so exciting.
And it's different. Like we've never done it this way before.
What's different about it?
Well, with the album, we self-produced all that.
Oh,
so
wow.
like we had no producer, and
it was independent too, right?
Completely independent.
I recorded everything.
Yeah, he engineered all of it,
dude.
With the exception of Poppy with Dane.
Oh yeah, and then shout out Dane, my homie Dane. He helped me put Poppy together, which is the first song on the album. But
starts it off with such a bang, bro. Such a great first track on the album.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I was a little wearied working with. Like I said, I'm a control freak as hell, and like I'm always just like, I don't need somebody to tell me how to do this, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, dude, I like Charlie. Let's see where it goes. You know, it's always good to have an extra ear of like someone who's not like in the band. You know what I mean? To get like new ideas or like bounce off like
but someone that also understands the vision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So luckily he's like on like, you know, luckily he gets us. You know, we toured together like for, you know, first nationwide tour with him. So that's, you know, that helps.
Good friend, yeah.
And he's just the homie. So honestly, yeah, it went awesome, and I don't know, I'm pretty stoked.
And it's like we feel like I remember a long time ago somebody told me like a lot of bands' first album is their best album.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of punk bands. Like, you know, they never, like, you still got bands that are playing, like been together for like 40 years and they're playing the one debut album they wrote when they were like 21.
Yeah.
Or like 19.
19,
Yeah. And it's like, it's because you basically spend your whole life writing that album.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all the bands that you've been in before, you're taking songs that you had in that band.
Yes.
Or like, you know, like a, and yeah, there's not that, you know, like you're independent up to that point. Or
it's like a highlight tape of learning how to play music.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, yeah, you know, it's a compilation of all your life's work up to that point. And then your next album, which is like a year or two later, you're like, okay, now it's the life that's in between that point.
Yes.
And so it's like, or in between those 2 points. And so it's like these songs that we're playing now, like, and like you've had them for a long time, and they are, like, you're always going to write about your life and
of course
and yourself, and they're reflective of like who you are. But like it is that point of like, okay, we spent all of our years as a band leading up to that debut, and now here we are, this band
now
in this current spot, like we've done all this touring now, and like, and it's been kind of crazy. It's been like, you know, like a shit hitting the fan and like all this stuff, like in the, you know, during this time. Yeah. So how do we go about making an album now? Yeah. Having been like all those experiences. Yeah, yeah. It's like, are we a band writing an album like because that's what you do as a band, or are we like, we just love writing songs and like and playing together, and we're doing this out of love, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What do they say? You get your whole life to write your first album and a year to write your second.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so true.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you guys are committed to the album format. Like, you're just
love
like,
albums.
Like, you're just like, fuck it, second album now.
Yeah.
Which, you know, from the outside perspective, I think a lot of people be like, oh, yeah, that's like what you do. But like from the industry perspective, that's not what you do.
Yeah, I think that now they put more focus on like singles or like, you know, like little EPs. Yeah. But I'm just like, nah, dude, let's give them a whole. Let's give them a whole freaking like thing you got to sit down and listen to. I personally like the album format, you know. It's way more fun, and I think more in like I like to have everything be like it tells a story. So with an album, I just get more room to do that.
Yeah, I think it also breeds like a higher level of fan. I think if you release a single every 2 months, like there's just not a ton to grab onto as a listener. But when you can find like the process of really truly falling in love with an album that like sits with you forever, that is such a deeply personal thing.
Yeah,
like,
for
you
sure.
love that artist for like the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah,
bro.
100%.
I feel like I'm a part of something when I hear an album, like especially a new album that I love. I'm like, I need to tell everybody about this.
Yeah.
Like, I need to hit the group chat right now. Like, you guys need to listen to this new album.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And, like, we need to go see them when they come and play. You know, like, if they're playing this new album, like, you need to hear this album live.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole experience that you don't get from anything other than an album.
Yeah, I think that point is so huge. Like, making somebody feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
I think that is, like, just having that community building in music, I think is, like, ground rule number one.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you don't have that, you have nothing, because all you have is your fan base, and all that is a community.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can get to a place where you can, you know, whatever it is, through like an album, through like, you know, creative visuals, through whatever it is, just find some way to bring people in, and when they're buying it at a deeper level, that I think is how you maintain a very long and fruitful career.
Yeah.
I always there's this book that I reference way too much on the podcast, but there's this book called The Concept of 1,000 True Fans, and it pretty much just touches on this idea of like, if you have 1,000 true fans, and like the definition of fan in this context is really important. Like, a fan is somebody who they're gonna see you every time you're in their city. They're gonna buy your merch. They're gonna stream your project. They're gonna repost all your shit. Like a high level fan, right? If you have 1,000 of those, you have a career.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you're good. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah. So
it's like buying in at that level, I think, is really big. Sorry, I was just about to sneeze.
No, honestly, I'm all. Does anyone got a napkin?
Napkin? No, brother.
I'm like all like snotty.
Yeah, I just like felt in my nose. I was like, oh.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think it's like hot today. It's like a hot sunny day today.
Yeah.
Well, the air is also still kind of whatever. You're like,
Brings out the allergies.
Yeah.
Now that you guys have found yourself in kind of like, I know you were describing how you kind of feel like you're in like a more solidified scene of bands now. Have you noticed, like, playing with a lot of those bands, and like, I know you brought up Happy Daps, like, you know, a lot of that whole scene, kind of being around a lot of those bands, do you feel a lot of traction in that scene specifically, as, you know, being some, I guess I keep referring to you, but all you guys, being people from LA, like, kind of watching this scene and being a part of it? Does it feel like it's kind of like the beginning of something bigger?
I hope so. It's hard to tell, but I love you know, there's so many bands out there that I love in this scene, right? And oh my god, there's a little fly. And yeah, dude, like I hope it kind of leads to, you know, just like for it to like blow up even more, you know what I mean?
And for everybody within the community.
Yeah, for everybody.
Well.
Yeah.
It's
so I can't say for sure, because you never know. I think things like change real fast, you know? But I can only hope for the best for everybody. And either way, regardless,
talented enough.
Yeah, everybody has the talent. I think now it's just more like, you know, I think I don't know. I would hope that things kind of take off for everybody. You know what I mean? I think there's still a lot of traction. You know, there's also like a lot of like younger bands, which like they're really more connected with, like, you know, you're just out of high school, so all your high school friends come and stuff. And I feel like that's like a really important thing to have, right?
The youth,
for sure. Shout out the youth. If you're youthful, shout out. Thank you.
If you're youthful, shout out.
If you still got hope in your eyes, shout out, dude.
If you're not depressed because you see everything is just getting fucked up.
Yeah. Shout out the youth. But yeah, dude, I think there is a lot of traction. I think I think it's really special what's going on too, like right now, with all these bands.
It feels exciting, and it feels like there's just more bands popping up every single day.
Yeah.
Was it? I know it was what's a Kevin from Mexican Formats? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Was it with you guys that he was having the interview where he brought up all the
like we're all on tour at the same time?
Yeah, that was here. Yeah, he was sitting right there.
Nice.
That was a huge like point that he was making, because like
that was a great point.
Like at that point, it's like, because like I was saying, it's like now I feel like you're starting to see LA bands finally start to get recognized. Like
finally,
like getting like no, we're not from Madison, Wisconsin. We moved here as a band. It's like we're all from here.
Shout out Madison though, you're still cool.
Yeah. But like at that time, it's like they were getting ready to go on tour.
Yeah.
Red Pears were getting ready to go on tour.
They were on
I think
tour.
they were on tour.
They were on tour at the time. We were on tour with Sad Park, also from LA.
Yeah.
And it's like but we all come together, and that's like the Happy Daps lineup, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, well, I mean, even think about the openers of those tours. Like that literally is that Red Pears tour was them, Ultra Q, and
the High Curbs.
The High Curbs,
High Curbs, yeah. And then the Slumber Rats tour was them, Israel, and
that's right, Israel was Arcade.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Winona Forever.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like literally like all within that same band.
Damn, it was quiet over here.
Yeah.
You hear the crickets chirping.
I know, yeah. We were in Atlanta. We met this one dude who was like, it was actually really funny because like,
I remember this guy.
He was asking like, what time does the show start? He was the Sad Park tour, and we were telling him, he was like, dude, I fucking love all those bands. We were in Atlanta. He's from Atlanta. He's like, dude, I want to move out to LA just because of all these bands.
That's so
cool.
Shout out that guy.
And it was funny. He was like, are you guys here for the show? I was like, oh, we're the opening band. We're Yungatita. And he's like, what? I was like, and he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see like your guys' name. I was like, it's on the flyer, it's right there. And he's like, he's like, is that what that says? I'm like, oh, he was all embarrassed. I'm like, oh, you're good. Like, because we were kind of new to, like that, that world.
But what's funny is that like, he started like name dropping bands, right? Like, and then he was like, this something about like a dive time, and then we were like, well, like I sing on some of the songs for dive time.
Yeah.
Shout out Dive Time. They're playing tonight, and I'm gonna have to go sing those
They
songs.
rip.
Yeah.
That Chico show tonight. You guys going to that?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go perform the 2 songs I did. But
I think I'm gonna pop out. I'm going.
If you're gonna go, I'll see you there.
I'm going to a show at the new or the old shed.
That's right. Yeah.
Glass Generation's playing, so I told them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to make both if I can get from there to make out. It's far as fuck, but we'll see.
I was gonna say because like the valley to
I'm gonna try to make it work though.
But and then like he said that, and I was like, oh yeah, well I did 2 songs at the Dive Time, and he's like, what? I was just listening to it this morning because they had just dropped like the album, and then
good.
He went back and he's like, oh my gosh, yeah, there you are, and then he's like, all right, cool, like I'm excited to see you guys. It was cool. It was nice.
But all those bands that like are all of us like the Happy Daps lineup more or less. It's like making an impact like everywhere pretty much.
Everywhere.
And all these bands tour, like they tour nationwide and they pull like really big crowds.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's something that like we haven't seen before, and like it just like it means a lot for all of us to like come back home and this is actually home. This is actually like where we're all from. And be able to do something like Happy Daps or whatever the show the case may be.
It feels really special.
Yeah,
it's a very live scene of music too, which I think is something that's very special. I think there's like a lot of scenes of music now that like exclusively exist on the internet.
Yeah,
where I feel like this scene, not that it doesn't exist on the internet, but it's like primarily in person.
For sure.
Which I think is something that's just so cool.
It's really cool. It's honestly better low key because like
I agree.
You could have like. I don't know. It's weird because you could have very little listeners online.
Yeah.
Or a lot, like we have like a lot because of the viral song,
But we're over here spending New Year's with In Vitro boys, like.
Shout out In Vitro. They came through to our New Year's little kickback that we have.
They came on here yesterday.
I know. That's so funny. We were just talking about them too in the car right now.
They're so talented.
Shout out to.
I think they're definitely like on the rise
for
right now.
sure.
I love that band. Yeah. They rip.
Yeah, very very much in person, very much on a first name basis. Just with mad love for each other, so it's cool.
They have like a sound, bro.
Oh, dude, that's literally what we were just talking about. We were just talking about how like their sound is like so specific.
Yeah, it's so cool. So. I was talking about it yesterday for like 2 hours. Like,
nice.
It's super specific, and that's what I think is so cool about In Vitro. It's like you go to an In Vitro show, and it's like it's so funny. The first time I saw them, it was at that quinceañera show they did with.
At
Bed in Israel at
Coyote Studios. I was there that night too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
But I saw them and I was just like in shock. I was like, kids just went insane for them.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because they sounded like nothing else on the bill.
Yeah,
because they're just so specific, which I think is sick.
I met Will and Lake that night. I see the sticker right here.
Love those kids.
Love them too.
So much.
Yeah, honest, dude, the scene is popping the fuck off.
Yeah.
Honestly, like every time like a band is mentioned, I remember like another one, and I'm just like, dude, there's just so much good music. Right now, it's like peak.
Yeah.
This is peak LA music. I think. Right
I was
now.
a fan of Willow Wake like before I was a fan of any of the bands in the scene.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
because I saw them open for Mount Eddie, which and / Ultra Q, like 2.5, 3 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
And because I'm from the base, obviously like new Ultra Q. But then I saw Willow Wake open for them, and then I started like following Willow Wake and looking at a bunch of stuff they were doing, and so they were a very big introduction point for me. And I just those kids are just so sweet. I love them so much.
Yeah, they're really cool.
But it definitely feels like a cool moment. Like it feels like
for sure.
There's like
now that I'm thinking more about it, I'm like, wait,
it gets me excited.
There's a lot of shit going down. There's a lot of good music coming out.
I bet it's cool too, because like you said that you've been doing this for a while, and I bet you've seen so many bands like come and go. Like,
dude, I mean, I've gone through so many like scenes that were popping. Like with my first band that I was in, my synth punk one, the backyard scene at that time was like popping off. You know what I mean? And there were so many good fucking bands. But obviously, it's like it kind of like came and went. You know, and I'm not actually like almost like feel sad that like none of those bands took off, because to this day I listen to a lot of those like local bands and their like recordings are just like off their shitty ass phone or their computer like speakers or something, and I'm like, but this goes so fucking hard, you know. And then like there's been scenes like that just kind of came and went every couple, you know every, well, I'm not gonna say decade because then that makes me sound so fucking like, fucking old, but you know what I mean, like every little era they got, you know. But right now it's seeming like, you know how we were talking about earlier, like this might stick for a minute. I feel like, because there's just too much music, you know, like that. I think it might either like spread or cause like a huge boom if it's like, if it isn't happening already.
All these bands have kind of like work themselves up to this. Like sometimes you see like something like we were talking about, like a more local scene, to where it's like it's in the moment, like we all just started sick bands at the same time, and like we're all playing the same shows.
That
and
does
it's
happen.
Like, it'll last throughout the year, or like throughout a summer or something, and it's like it's the cool thing to be doing at that time, because like we just started these bands, and like we're in the honeymoon phase. We all love it.
Very true.
But like all these bands are like we're doing their thing for a long time, and we all kind of found each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because there's a lot of bands that have been in the game for like, I mean, High Curves, the Red Pears. Dude, the Red Pears have been like in it for like, and they're like taking off like big time, you know?
Yeah, the first time I seen them, it might have been first or second time in Uptown Whittier. There was this chicken wing spot that would do a open mic. Yeah. And they pulled up to play the open mic. What? And there was like, I was there just eating.
I was there
with the homies. And like
my brother
eating with the homies
for the local coffee shop.
Yeah, for the Daily Brew.
Oh, that's right.
And this was before they were a huge thing, and even our old.
Wait, is that the night Katsu played? I went that night. No. Oh, okay, never mind.
It was just like they did Henry did like an acoustic set, and it was like back in the day, and they would our old indie band.
They would play like 3 shows a night, you know.
Wow,
and like they would like.
Dude, they were all over the place.
But the thing, like once it started to hit for them, it was like, okay, like this band is going somewhere. Even like once they started, like they went from like the coffee shop or like the chicken wing spot show to just like backyard shows
to the shrine.
You would see the crowd
from Wingstop to the shrine.
Yeah, literally.
That's so funny.
You would see the crowds like
that's so cool. The like, lore, dude.
I know, but like
it's heavy lore right there.
Everybody kind of like comes together, like because either it's like once you're kind of like popping off, then you put on these bills together and you get to like know each other and you're like, hey, we're essentially the same fucking person. You know, like and you just like naturally are in sync with each other. Or it's like you saw each other come up from like the backyards to like the stage, or like for whatever it is, or you just like somehow got grouped in like how we did, you know. It's like we worked ourselves up to that point, and we're like, this isn't like like spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, this band's sick. It's like, no,
You've
like,
been
we've
here.
fucking killing ourselves over this.
Yeah.
Forever. And every band is that way.
That's
So,
inspiring though.
Yes.
Like,
So I think it can honestly go somewhere. It can take off. Like
Yeah.
you can all really like
100%.
blow up because it's like
yeah.
the drive is there. Like this isn't because I was also like in a local scene or like a whatever. It feels like, oh, these guys know they're cool. You know,
Yeah.
like these guys know that they're hot shit right now. And it's a big turnoff. Or like when it fails, you're like, fuck yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah, they're dicks. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that for
It does not feel like that,
It just,
you know?
it's
Not
all
at
good
all.
vibes, just solely music.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's very, there's something very inspiring about like a lot of people, and I don't want to say underdogs. I don't know if that's the right word, but like
I think that fits though. You know,
Yeah.
because I mean, you're the next thing. I mean, like the thing that we were talking about earlier is
Yeah.
like having the industry, like Hollywood.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like it is kind of an underdog situation.
it
you know?
is. Yeah. I mean, you talking about the Red Pears or like you guys or the Hikers. These are all bands that like they're not new.
Yeah,
like
no,
they've
100%,
been doing
yeah.
this shit for like 10 plus years.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like they're having their moment now,
Yeah.
which I think there's something so special about that.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool. Like there's
Yeah.
something so inspiring about that. I guess it is kind of an underdog thing.
Yeah.
Because it really is a testament to just like keep going.
Dude,
like, no matter
100%, 100%. I think that's like what it is. I think people don't. Sometimes when they think of like rock and roll, right, or being in a band, being a rock star, it's like they think, oh, that's like an immediate thing. Like I gotta,
Yeah.
you know, I gotta put on the sunglasses indoors and like the fucking leather jacket, and like that'll get me there. But it's like, no, dude, it's like consistency. You know, like being consistent, really honing in on your craft, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Like if you're not obviously like already have the money or like the connections or whatever, then it ain't gonna happen to you in that way. It's gonna be like, just keep it pushing, you know, just keep going. And that's around the time that it takes, is about 10 years
Yeah.
to really like have your craft like down to a T.
10,000 hours.
You know, yeah, exactly. So, and I think a lot of people kind of like people that are not like, I guess, in music, I guess, like they just kind of appreciate it from afar. Like they don't think about it in that way. Obviously, you have people that take off right away, you know,
course.
or people that grow up playing instruments and they're shredders. Like by the time they're like, I don't know, 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was in NAMM yesterday. I saw,
yeah.
I saw a bunch of kids like that.
Oh,
Exactly.
geez.
Yeah. But it's also like a lot different playing in a band, dude. It's like you know, like
Learning
you
that way.
you
Totally.
learning in a band is different. Like having chemistry with people and getting along with them, learning the language, even if it's not necessarily like reading off a page or like knowing your scales and stuff. It's like just having that ear and like that connection with people. It's a little bit, it even transcends like knowing music, I guess you would say. Yeah.
And it's so interesting too, because like they say music is a language, and it entirely is, but it's also like not the same language from band to band.
Yeah,
it's
no, 100%.
very
yeah.
different. You know?
Yeah.
We have a Jose, our guitarist. He, I mean, he's like in a ton of other bands, and it's funny because we ask him like, is our band like the way we are? Like, are you like this with your other bands? And I don't want to speak for him, but the last time we asked him that, he was just like, no, like this is like the only band that I'm in like that is like, you know, we goof around and like. But I mean, I'm sure they have that too.
Of
But like,
course.
you know, like the way we are with each other, like you know, we're almost like family. You know.
That's beautiful.
Well, it's
Yeah.
because like you know, like Val and I, we're all really close. But like Val, I see like every fucking day.
Every day.
You know,
Yeah.
like for
Unfortunately,
hours on
no, I'm
end.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And Gil, me, and Christian, our drummer, we've been playing in bands together for like over 10
The
years now.
same
Damn,
band.
dude.
Not
Yeah.
the same band,
Yeah,
but
we've been
like
in the-
different bands,
yeah.
just same three people.
We're traveling. We've been
Y'all
back
crazy for that.
We're traveling backing band, but like
Traveling back
yeah.
in there, it's crazy.
But like, so it's like we fucking know each other. You know, like so it's like for better and for worse.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
so
for
like,
sure.
and Jose we know for a long time, but he's newer in the band.
yeah.
And so it's like trying to bring him into our world as opposed to his bands where like either they formed together or he joined and then like I don't know, you know, you don't want to
Yeah.
like I guess like you don't want to try to bring your new person in to you like
Yeah.
how you are like right away,
Of course.
you know. But us, we're just like unapologetically
Yeah.
ourselves, like, for better and for worse, you know.
Yeah. How do you? That's super interesting. How do you guys balance that? Like having that world where it's like you're best friends, obviously, but then like you're also in this band together and working. Like, how do you guys kind of have the boundaries? And I would assume it's just communication and love.
Yeah.
But like, how do you kind of like, you know, tote those two lines in a way that makes sense?
Okay, can I be so cheesy right now? I'm gonna be so cheesy. Honestly, I feel like And the music that we make, okay, I'm not gonna say it because we obviously have different friendships outside of the music, but I feel like the music is one of the main parts of our friendship too. So it's kind of like, not that there's no boundaries there, but it's like a lot of it does overlap, and I don't know. I just feel like even the other night when we were having like that session, I was just like, I almost felt like so much closer to the guys. Like, you know, it's almost like a bonding moment, you know, to have like that musical connection, and then being like, damn, like these are my brothers, you know, like I feel like so proud, you know, and that was really fun. I don't know how you guys, I'm not gonna speak for you guys.
You know, it's like being like
but I felt that way.
Being like in a...
They're like, I don't feel that way at all. Like,
they're like, I hate you.
It was chill. I don't know. Yeah, that was cool.
Wow, it was really dope, and it is very much like a magical moment, and that's where that music kind of brings souls together. And like really does form like...
It's like being like in a marriage or something, and like, and you have kids, you know.
It is a relationship
for sure.
Polyamorous
this band is our
relationship.
kid, you know. And it's like you know, we're like, look, let's just make sure that we don't have to like each other. We don't have to fucking we don't have to be friendly, but like, you know, we gotta do right by our kid, you know.
Sure.
We gotta do right by our kids.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. That's how we kind of like approach it.
But I feel like besides that, we're generally pretty good at communicating with each other, even if it could get a little rough sometimes. It's like, you know, people be going through their shit, you know, like, I think it's just like a level of understanding, you know, and I feel like we all have that level of understanding for each other, you know, like, you know. Yeah.
You guys have all also been in other bands prior to this. I bet that helps a ton.
Yeah.
I
remember,
like this is we are so blessed. I feel so blessed to be in this band, like in comparison to other projects I've been in, and that's honestly why with Yungatita I was just like, fuck being in a band. I'm just gonna do it myself. But obviously, it just takes the right people. That's really truly like in the same way that you could love somebody in a relationship, but it doesn't work out. Yeah, you know, and it's like
I was just talking about this with my girlfriend the other night. Yeah,
and like it's like
in the opposite way, but
but it's like then you find that person that really takes the time to understand you and like works with you with your shortcomings and vice versa. And I feel like it's the same way in a band. You know, you got to find the people that are willing to do that for you and vice versa. And that's I feel like how it kind of makes it work. You know?
Yeah. I feel like if you don't have that and you don't establish that very early on,
it's hard.
The music could be fucking. You could be the Beatles, you know, but like if you don't have that relationship, eventually things are just going to dissipate. Like we're all humans. Over musicians, we're all humans. You can't just like remove the humanity out of the musician. You know, we're not robots. Unfortunately, you're going to feel. You're going to feel this music. You're going to feel the people, and you're going to feel these, you know, the trials and tribulations of these relationships, like any friendship or any relationship.
For sure.
But I think it's just about like finding the balance between those two things that makes the most sense for you. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like though this is an interesting question. Like doing this so long, like what do you? And we were talking about a second ago, like, you know, how many bands you've seen like come and go. What do you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what do you think are the qualities that you see in the bands that have staying power? Like, what do you think, is there a common thread amongst the ones that stick around for a long time?
Yeah, I think from what I've noticed, it's like a core group. Because like maybe other members could be kind of in and out, but there's always like a core, like 2 or 3 people that like hold it down because like that's their life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that works. I feel like that's like and like they're friends even outside of the band, you know, like they're like brothers or like sisters or whatever. And I feel like that's really what kind of holds down a band, at least that is successful in that way. Like, and I feel like that even applies to like bands that are way bigger, you know, like you look at for instance, like with the let's say Red Hot Chili Peppers, because we were talking about them. It's like even if John Frusciante was out for like a minute, you know, it's like Flea, Chad, and Anthony like on it.
But
you
like
know?
they're magnets. You know, I like for them, but like any band in general, it's like something keeps like reeling you back in, you know. And what it is really, and like, and I think they're a perfect example. I always use that as an example for like across the board, because it's like you just have to fucking like love music. You have to never not love music. As fucking like lame and like, or as like basic as it sounds, it's like that really is what it is.
That's it.
Like, you could feel it when like someone has like lost interest, you know, like like when you go see a band play and you're like, they are just fucking milking the hits,
like, super jaded,
you know, or like they're just doing this because they have to, or whatever, you know, like because touring is rough. Like it gets to be very like you know, you start to kind of lose your head after a while. But like, again, as cheesy as it sounds, when you play live, it fucking
fixes dude. It's like immediate medicine.
Yeah, it's like I'm doing my thing up here. Like this is what I'm supposed to like. This is like everything. You spend 24 hours in a day leading up to that moment, you know, and that is fighting with each other. Yeah, and like arguing and like
stuck in traffic.
Yeah, and like you know, like getting on each other's nerves and like fighting over where you're gonna go eat. And like
fighting over the bathroom,
the group of that goes to the other restaurant, whatever, you know. Yeah. And it's like,
but once you get on that stage, bro.
Yeah, and it's because it's like you love music, and it's like you love doing it
with the people you're doing it with.
People, you know. Yeah. And it's like that's the thing that like trumps overall, is like is that, and that has to never fade. Yeah. You know, because once it does, then like it's just when you fall out of love with like your partner. You know, it's like there is no repairing that.
Yeah.
You know, you're just prolonging
the inevitable.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's only going to make it worse.
Damn. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think that's true, like for band members and also just the art in general, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
And I think like even not even just, I mean, even like away from bands, right? Even for just solo musicians, that you gotta really love this shit. Like you have to really love this shit if you want to make it a career. I think it has to be the kind of thing that you can't live without.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like that's why we're even here. Like it would be unheard of like for me to not write something, or like for like you too, Gil. Like I can't imagine him going the rest of his life without touching a guitar or something, or like David too, you know what I mean? Like maybe we'll go through our moments, you know, but I mean this really
try to have like a healthy relationship away from it too. Like I think I had like what 15,000 like Spotify hours or something. So I really didn't listen to a lot of music, but like that's you try to make it count for when you do, because like when I'm at home doing nothing, it's like I'll put a podcast on or whatever, like I'll watch like stand-up comedy or some shit, but like sometimes I'm like I feel like fucking listening to music, and when I do, it's like it hits, especially like at that time, you know? And so like and that is like my love for it. It's like if I have it around all the time, I'm gonna get annoyed of it. But if I distance myself enough, when I decide, you know, to engage with it, it really hits.
It's a very sacred relationship. I feel for sure. Like you really have to like not take it for granted. I think. Yeah. I find that very often the artists that like get big fast, and then it's interesting because I've only been doing this for 6 years, or I guess almost 7 now, but I think I've just in the past like 2 years got to a point where I've been able to see some people come and go. It's been interesting just because I've been doing this since I was 16, like very young. Yeah. But like watching that happen, it's so interesting. Like, 'cause I feel like the folks that get bigger or have a moment rather quickly, the ones that don't value it or don't realize how sacred it is or don't realize even how fickle it is, those are the ones that always lose it. It feels like that goes so fast.
Yeah, I will say there's a lot of external factors that also discourage you or like take away that specialness from it. Like when you have like management or agents or like you have to come up with that TikTok song or you have to go make like, hey guys, do you guys like a Two Door Cinema Club and whatever other band, and they're like, well, listen to us. Like when you gotta do shit like that, you know, it's like I had a moment like that where I was like, fuck, I don't know if I want to do this, and I had to reel it back. I'm like, wait, like no,
I don't have to.
Like I like reeled it back in the sense of like, what made music fun for me in the first place, or like made it a release. And I was like, it wasn't like getting management or like labels hitting me up or, you know, whatever. It's like, I just want to go to the studio, grab some beers and jam with the boys. Like that's like, and I feel like sometimes when you get all that other shit thrown at you, it takes away that sanctity of like just chilling with your whatever you do. Like if you just chill in the room with the Ableton and a MIDI controller, or if you're jamming with your friends, it's like it takes that away. It takes away the why did I start doing this in the first place?
What do they say? This is a silly comparison. What's the Christian thing they say? Every day we stray further from the light of God.
That's literally 100%. It's like you have to go back to the light. Go back to the light.
Go back to church.
It's like if we started with an acoustic guitar, now we're like TikTok dancing, and it's like that's like as far away from the star as you get.
Real. It's so real though, because like even I had to have that moment. I mean, I told you guys it's like a couple weeks ago. Like we all sat down, we started talking about it, and I was like, bro, like I just want to jam. Like legitimately, like I just feel like that's
like our first time meeting up in a long time. A couple weeks ago, we ran the set like once. This was before
we started jamming.
The show got canceled.
Yeah,
so we were getting ready for that show. So we were like, let's just run the set a couple times. Maybe let's touch on some new stuff. But we just like ran it once, and then we're like, okay, but we need to talk like business and like touch base on like shows and like other stuff like logistical shit, and we spent like.
Dude, like 2 hours.
Just fucking talking
like
on that.
Therapy session.
Wow.
Therapy session.
Well, not even legit like a business meeting.
Honestly, yeah, like business.
Like just going over like important shit, which is important and stuff that we all need to know. But like we had like some homies over, and it got to a point I'm like maybe let's just stop talking about this, because like this is so like business formal talk we're having, and it's like.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's like, we're a rock band. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. It feels like we've strayed from the light.
We strayed from the light of God.
So that's why like the last
homies in the fucking on the couches.
Yeah, they're just like.
Why are we like taking bog rips and shredding solos right now?
Yeah. So like that's why like the last meetup we had, they said it was like really sick, is because
I just went back to that.
And like that's what feels good about being like in album mode. You know, is that
the thing is, sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's like it's pure creativity the entire time. Like when you're like making an album, everything is a creative thought, you know?
But I feel like
it's all input. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. Like I feel like a lot of people forget that you can just do that. You can be like, fuck the label, or like whatever it is. Like fuck the label, fuck the management, fuck the this, that, whatever. You know
can
what
opt
I mean?
out.
Like you could just jam. Like you could just have fun. Like you don't gotta make the TikTok reels, you know, or whatever.
That is such an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Because everybody always talks about, oh, you have. Like, I hate the music industry because you have to do this, or you have to do that.
No, you don't.
It's like you honestly just don't.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's like maybe if
you're gonna get 101 views.
Before.
Yeah.
Like TikTok is new.
Yeah.
Like still, like all things considered, and it's like, you know, the fucking. Yeah, Black Flag did not have a TikTok.
Yeah, and it's like
that's crazy.
And maybe they do now.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And it's like, yeah, do people go viral on this and get a career off it? Of course, yeah. Like no one's denying that.
Yeah.
But that's not the only way that it happens, dude. Yeah. Oh God, one of my biggest pet peeves in the music industry is when like I think industry heads do this a lot. Like they'll talk about like the unilateral way to find success as a musician in 2025, which is just like beyond me. It's so stupid. Every single artist makes it in an entirely different way.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen people blow up off Spotify algorithm. I've seen people blow up off video games. I've seen people blow off fucking like a Reddit forum. Like, dude, like there's so many corners of the internet. You can blow up in all those ways. And there's so many corners of the live world. Some people blow up because they do festival runs. Some people get the right opening spot. Like there's literally a million ways to do this.
Truly, like as dumb as it sounds, like the only way to really blow up is to just be sick. Like
you're right.
Straight up.
You just got
everybody forgot about that.
You just have to be good.
Just
like
be sick. Bro.
Like you could, you know, like I don't know. It might sound like a jerk for saying this, but like if you're like doing the TikTok thing and it's still not working, it's like maybe people just don't like you, you know. And it's like.
Hard truth.
Maybe like the people on TikTok don't like you, but like if you focus
like
more,
why are you still trying to win over these little kids?
On just playing shows or something, or you go to like one of their shows and the people there are like, you know, like going off all things considered. It's like maybe it's not a huge crowd, maybe it's not the most lively crowd, but the people there are definitely feeling it.
Yeah, fucking.
And there's definitely like a good like vibe going on, and it's like nurture this. Like don't fucking worry about that TikTok bullshit. Like it, and then we almost like it almost got banned like a week ago or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I know that was a whole bullshit stunt, whatever. But like that, it could just all disappear like that.
Yeah.
So like, why
just
even
focus
bother?
on your craft?
It's like the same way like bands are still blowing up just by like writing like putting out music and then performing it live. That is still the
will never end
line right there.
Yeah.
You will never go wrong if you do that.
Yeah. We discover bands differently now, like that's for sure. But like more than likely a band that you like discovered like in one of these new types of ways was like already kind of like on their way there.
Yeah.
You know? And they got there because
they were sick.
The old-fashioned way, because they were just a sick band.
I always say this, and I hope it doesn't come off as harsh, but I always just go like adapt or die. Like just figure it out. Like at the end of the day, it's like you need to put the hours in. Maybe it's TikTok for you. Maybe it's not. Maybe you really, really want to make an incredibly experimental, creative short film about your project. That's okay. Do it. If it makes you tick, do it. If you're into it, do it.
Yeah.
But it's like you need, at the end of the day, you just need to keep, I think, running to what inspires you.
Yeah.
And there is just I don't know, like some people I think don't believe this, but I'm telling you, if you do that for 20 years, like it will fucking work. Like there's no way that if you put all of yourself into this one thing for like 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years, like it will happen. It might not be tomorrow. Yeah. But it will.
That's why, like, people need that patience. Yeah. Like, everything's so, like, they want it to happen right now. You know what I mean?
I think you can use us as an example because, like, I mean, we're barely starting to, like, get there, you know? Like, and we're not even there yet. Like, we still got a long ways to go.
We're still a pretty small band.
But, like, you know, I mean, we're in our 30s now. And, like, a lot of our peers are, like, in their early 20s, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you say you're 23?
Yeah, I just turned 23.
You know, it's like... we've seen like, you know, like bands that are so much younger than us like rise and fall and whatever, like, and we're still playing shitty dive bars, you know, and it's frustrating to see it, but then you're also like, like, you know, I'm not chasing purely just like the success. It's like we're all gonna have to pay rent and we're all gonna have to like, you know, pay bills. You will make it happen one way or another. Either it's like through music, you get lucky enough, or you just have to get a fucking job, you know. And if you're forced to like just work a job, what are you gonna do to like, you know, to satisfy yourself and like
play music?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you're gonna do this, one way or another.
Yeah.
And it's like either it's with an original band that's pushing like new music, or I'm in some like stupid cover band. You know, it's like you're gonna just keep playing.
It can be this difficult fulfilling prophecy in a way, though. I think sometimes because it's fucked up, but like. I don't even know. I don't think I have the answer to this, but it's like to make this work, you need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
But sometimes to take it seriously is to pivot to like something that you think is more likely to work, but I don't think that's also what you should do. So it's almost like you need to strike this balance of like figuring out what inspires you, hopelessly and endlessly chasing it. Well, I guess not hopelessly, but like just chasing it forever. And then just kind of finding the best way to market it and finding your people, finding your community. You know, like all a fan base is a community. If you can build a community around your music, you have a career.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is a weird thing because like essentially like, I mean, not that it works for everybody. It's like you want to have relevancy to what's going on,
of course,
to an extent, you know. But then you also want to stand out and be unique. You know, so it is a weird, like, you know. But honestly, I think the thing that works the most is just, like, if you're just truly trying to hone into you as a project or an solo artist or band, whatever, it's like, if you're really trying to just hone into what that is, then that's the only thing that really will, like, that's the thing that will really work. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like the more you that you are in whatever capacity is like that's what makes it special. I mean, it's, you know, just a honing. Then it's just like honing in like the technical skill or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree. I mean, it's corny or overplayed or whatever, but it's like literally the only thing that you have that is just you have is yourself.
Yeah.
Like you have something that nobody else can recreate, no matter what. You're entirely unique, just by process of, you know, law of large numbers, by being a human being.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you are like unapologetically yourself and like making music as so, people feel it. Like you like Sublime, you know, like
dude, we were just talking. Me and Doug were talking about that.
Those guys are so them. Like
for sure.
Like Bradley Noel is like there's nobody else like him across music. You
Rest
know,
in peace.
Like
R.I.P.
I know it sounds crazy, like, you know, like guitar playing white guy, like there's nobody else like him.
It's so funny how we were just having this conversation, like exactly
really?
Me and Doug,
but like Sublime in general, you know, it's like that is why like they resonated so well with people to this day, even
because it was just so
because like there's times
people
where like
relate to that.
You know, there's so much like weird like niche music going on now, like a lot of new bands I just can't keep up with anymore, and like people will try to play it and I'm like, nah, I don't like not that I don't get it, but I'm like, you know, like my ears aren't
not for me.
Aren't like you know, ready for this. Just put on Sublime, like something that I'm gonna like resonate with right now, you know. It's like something that I know that like because some shit you put on, you're like, okay, they're going for something here, like they're trying to be a little out there, they're trying to be like, there's like those people that think they're scaring the normies or whatever with their weirdo ass music,
and
I'm like,
normies?
Man, Sublime is way better than any of y'all, you know? And like so I think
that's
you know,
crazy,
it's just,
bro.
Whether it's them or it's like
scaring the normies.
like Modest Mouse, even, you know, it's like Isaac Brock is so unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like these people that are just like, you feel it in the music and like in their lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
That they're just like, they're not going for anything. They're doing what is them.
It is so easy to sniff out like non-authenticity.
Yeah.
It's so easy to tell when somebody's faking something.
Yeah.
It's incredibly obvious. I think it's like, yeah, man, like when somebody's on stage and it's just like the way they move, it's their mannerisms. There's so much to it.
Yeah.
I think what you were talking about, right? Like legacy acts that are just touring the same 4 songs, right?
Yeah.
You can even tell in just the way they fucking move.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's just no level of urgency or excitement or their like there's nothing happening that they haven't felt before.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that's a little sad, you know?
Sure.
You guys kind of like being a live band, like from, you know, I guess like pretty early. Were you like, do you find yourself when you're playing live like chasing the feeling of being there? I had a friend describe the opposite to me one time, and I found it interesting when she was telling me that like recording with somebody is kind of like seeing a flash of light or seeing like a lightning strike in the sky, but you guys are the only ones who see it, or seeing a shooting star.
That's cool.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way about performing as well, because I think one of the coolest things about live shows is that like you being the band and the audience are the only people that will ever experience that isolated experience in that moment ever. It exists in time forever. That's so cool to me. Do you guys find yourself like chasing the feeling of like performing live, or does it feel the same every time? Is it still as exciting?
For sure. No, it's a release for sure. The build up sucks. I hate like when but once you're on there, it's almost as if something takes over
for only 30 minutes.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Like, you know, for 30 minutes you're flying. Wow. You know, like that's just the only way.
It's a weird like mix of like trying to play these songs and trying to like play them well, and then trying to like perform, and then also like watching the crowd and be like,
are they fucking with this?
People fucking with this, you know? Yeah.
Like I feel like I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. Go ahead.
Sorry, my bad.
I interrupted you.
My bad. But no, yeah, for sure. Like I am, or I think all of us we're like trying to scratch an itch when we get out there, and I think that's why the nerves hit so hard, because it's like we'll just see we'll see what happens when we get up there, because a lot of bands go up there and they're just like, all right, well, let's get this over with. You know, they know exactly how the set's gonna go. There's no like surprises or nothing. But like I'm always like, let's see what happens, you know. Who knows what the fuck? And more than likely it goes the same every time. Yeah. But there's always one little thing that like
makes it special.
You know, yeah.
I feel like too when you're so locked in, also because like obviously we did a lot of touring last year. Yeah. And there's just a point where I don't even have to think about what I'm playing or singing. Like I am so disconnected from like what I'm actually doing, because I've just done it so many times, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, that I could solely just have fun like up there and like just kind of go off, you know what I mean? And I fucking love that feeling. That feeling is so good. Like
it's when I'm freedom.
No, straight up. Like that's why I was like, for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long where our set is like I'm flying, you know, like I'm on top of the world, you know.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I love performing live. Like I think that's probably my favorite thing ever, and especially when I'm locked in, you know, when I know every part so perfectly that I don't even got to think about it. Like I'm literally just thinking about like connecting with the crowd, or like with these guys, or like, you know what I mean, or I could focus on like how jumping around, or like, you know, it's kind of crazy. It's like a whole different person almost takes over me.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like it's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's such a unique feeling. Like I've never maybe the closest thing that's ever come to it is like I used to run cross country.
So did I.
Oh, okay, sick. Yeah, okay. So like running. You know, it's like once you're like maybe 5 miles in on a run, it's like you're just completely just like it's almost
out.
Like meditative. Sure. You know, you're not even thinking about like your legs moving or nothing. You know. And I love that feeling. Yeah.
So do I. I always describe it in the same way. You black out.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
4 or 5 miles into a run, you always black out.
Yeah. But it's like fun, weird. Like you're still present somehow. It's like a weird feeling.
It's strange, but it's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, I always described it. There was actually like I always. It's funny. It's kind of a trope now in this show. I always compare like being in a band to being running cross country.
That is so funny. That's so funny.
That's crazy.
But well, because what I say about it all the time is like I've always described, and I don't know if this is like a bad thought or not, but like I've always compared being on a cross country team kind of to like trauma bonding in a way.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like you guys all are experiencing the difficulty of running 10 miles a day, like just together, you know. So you get very close.
Running is the hardest physical thing to do.
It's hard, man. Yeah, but I think it's a lot like touring. Like I feel like
it is. Yeah.
When you're in a band, you guys are the only people experiencing what it's like to fucking sleep in the car for 35 days and like, you know, sleep at hotels and shower in Planet Fitnesses
24/7 with the same 5-6 people. Yeah. You know, it's like you're only experiencing each other, you know,
and it's like their ass. And
it's like for better and for worse, you know.
Oh, don't even get me started, bro. No.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, man, it's crazy.
That's so funny about the cross country thing.
Yeah.
that's such a very specific niche.
Yeah, I gotta convince me running's fun.
Not very many people like us.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to a point? Well, I mean, I assume we've gotten to this point, but do you remember the point when you realized people were coming back to shows? Like, how was that like when you kind of realized, like, oh, like this is what like the Yungatita fan is like they're coming back to these shows? What was that like?
Well, I would say because any tour we've ever done, we did one like headline tour, which was like some, you know, and we'll get into that.
Yeah,
but, like,
we do not speak of such things.
We've only ever done like opening slots, and what we've noticed is like people that came to like the Cheek Face, see us on the Cheek Face tour, came to like the Sad Park shows. Cool. And it's like, damn, dude, that's so cool because like you're seeing us as the opener still. Yeah. You know, it's like to think that like, you know, it could be we either made such an impact or they've become such a fan or they just were like, free that night. That like they're like, but they came to see us, and it's like, damn, I don't even know if I have that kind of like drive, energy for a band that I love. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so like just like it makes me feel like we must be doing something right, because even the bands I love don't put on. I'll be honest, like don't even put it on as lively shows as we do. Yeah. So like it's like, okay, when we're doing something right, to where it's like people are like they just found out about us from like one opening spot, and then it's like, oh, they're doing another opening spot, but I like them so much I'm gonna go again. Yeah. You know.
Damn. Yeah, that's so fun. Now that I'm thinking, because I never really sit down and think. I feel like I'm always like on to the next thing. That I never take a step back and actually think about stuff like that.
It's hard to, but it's really important.
But now that I'm thinking, I'm like, that's so cute. Like I do like, I appreciate that people come and see us like multiple times. You know, like that is fairly special. So if you do that, thank you.
I mean, like,
I mean, buying merch and shit.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Oh my god, everyone's so sweet. I'm gonna cry.
I mean, I think doing this, you're right. It's so go. It's so fucking fast paced, man.
I think for me too, like just on a personal level, it's like I'm always on to like the next thing. Like I never sit back and actually think about any of my accomplishments.
How far you've come.
Yeah, like I don't even think I went. I didn't even go to my like college graduation or I don't think about that kind of stuff. Like it's just another part of like life. Like I feel like
on the next.
Yeah, exactly. You know. I guess like when I sit back and think about it, it's like that is very special. So
it's important. I think it can become very easy, especially in an industry that just moves so fast, to never take a step back and realize how far you've come. In fact, I think it's especially important when you feel directionless.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to do it. Like
it's good like, for your mental health.
It's like a checkpoint.
Like future to like to look at your past, because all of us like as kids, when we first started playing music, we're like, I want to be the Beatles, you know, I want to be like the Stones or whatever. You know? And then as you get older, that dwindles down so much to the point where you're like, well, maybe this like the local dive will let us come in and do some covers on a Tuesday, you know, and it's like, but it's like
the local dive,
you know, and it's like I think about like as hard as it gets when we're not doing like touring or whatever, and you're just looking for a job or just trying to like just survive life. Yeah. To look back and be like, yeah, we did all that cool shit. And like maybe I could just fucking call it there and say it was a hell of a run. But then I'm like, no, but that little kid that wanted to be fucking the Beatles, you like, I still gotta show up for that kid, you know?
You look in the mirror, or like you're like walking by like a window, and it's just like little you, and you're like, no, I gotta do it for that.
Yeah. Don't give up, David.
Yeah, like
don't give up, please.
It's like we're playing a show and I look in the balcony and there's like little me up there. Yeah. I'm like,
yo, that'd be a great movie scene.
Yeah. I know.
Damn.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's been done. That had to be done.
Maybe. I don't
Spotlight
know.
on the kid.
Yeah.
Like just on the empty stage.
Wait, there was like like a Drake concert where you had like a hologram little Drake or something.
He would, bro.
Did you see that? No. It was something like that. It was something crazy where
So
he like
saying we need holograms of little us.
Yeah. He had like a.
Aww.
It was either that
cute.
or like a stand-in like that, and like I don't know, like you could fucking use AI, I guess, like any setting now.
Make baby Drake.
Yeah. And so it was like Drake hanging with baby Drake. It was crazy.
Baby Drake.
Lil Drake.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Dude, I think that's a really cool thing to wrap everything in. I think like you got to do it for your younger self. That's
for sure.
That's really beautiful.
All the corny things. Like all the cliches.
Why are they true?
They're all true.
Yeah, why are they?
That's why they're so
corny.
corny. That's why they're cliches. It's because they're true.
That's why they work.
Yeah. That's why we've been saying them for hundreds of years. Like, it's all true.
I always say anything that like a 40-year-old suburban mother would hang on a plaque and put above like a counter or some shit, it's usually true.
Dude, live, laugh, love. What is more important than
live, laugh, love, baby?
Than that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. All right, Yungatita.
Yeah, man.
But last thing I wanted to ask you, if you guys had one thing like through this, I guess either the record that just came out or the upcoming record, one thing that like one message you want people to get from it, like, or even just through your band in general and your music, like one thing that you hope you could impart on other people, what would it be?
Live, laugh, love.
No.
Beautiful.
I honestly, I don't know if I
Be
could
yourself.
say. Yeah.
Just keep going.
Honestly, yeah, the just keep going thing. That's
never give
cool.
up.
Just keep it going, keep it going.
Yeah.
That's probably
Fuck
it.
the police.
Yeah, there you go.
Type shit. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yungatita, thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you
Appreciate you so much.
Above the bridge.
Yeah,
Shout out.
that was so much fun. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Tell them where they could listen, they could see you live, they could stream and follow you.
So we got the Spotify, even though I'm just highly disappointed, but we got
Anywhere you can
Spotify,
find music.
anywhere you can find music, Apple Music, YouTube.
Huge.
I think we got Bandcamp. Bandcamp, you can get the music. You could own it.
Bandcamp.
You can own
There
it.
you go. That's a good one.
Just do a rip off of
helps.
download it off YouTube and do a rip and burn it on CD. And
Yeah,
YouTube
there you
to
go.
MP3.
Do that. Just do it. Just do it.
YouTube
at
to
this point.
MP3.
steal this album.
And then hopefully we have an album by the end of the year. So
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Excited
album
to hear
number
it.
2.
Yungatita, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, music matters.
Yeah.